Chapter 712. The battle for the control of the teleportation formation in White Phoenix City. Finally, the key figures had entered the arena. At this moment, the Green Mountain sect, headed by the sect master, led the elites of the Green Mountain sect, came to the arena aggressively. And the Tianyi sect did send a messenger here. A young true immortal. Di Longzi. A level 8 true immortal. His whole body was covered with jewels, and the fairy light was steaming. He had the bearing of a disciple of a major sect. To say nothing of the others, this kind of pampered and leisurely temperament was not something that the small sects like the White Phoenix sect and the Green Mountain sect could cultivate. Of course, an immortal like Di Longzi would make people feel powerless and even suffocated in other places. He could completely become the overlord of a region. But in the Tianyi sect, he was too ordinary. He could see a lot of them. A drop of water could see the sunlight. The terrifying resources of the Tianyi sect could be seen from this Di Longzi. In fact, all the immortals sitting in the seats near the transportation formation felt ashamed of their inferiority when they saw Di Longzi. They wanted to submit to him. After the appearance of Di Longzi, all the immortals had only one thought: the White Phoenix sect was finished. There was no suspense in the battle for the control of the teleportation formation. The White Phoenix sect would definitely lose the control of the teleportation formation and would be eliminated. Their sect would be eliminated. However, at this moment, the people of the White Phoenix sect showed up. And, as soon as they appeared, they looked like a young man. A guy with the aura of a level 2 true immortal. How could he insult Di Longzi, the messenger of the Tianyi sect? Not only did he insult him, and he scolded him in an extremely unpleasant way. A moment ago, Di Longzi was still domineering and captivating. But now, he was being scolded as a dog by someone. This contrast caused the entire audience to be dumbfounded. They were stunned. They were shocked. There was complete silence. Above the fairy clouds in the sky. The people of the Green Mountain sect didn't react for a while, and their facial muscles were stiff. Di Longzi. He was also stunned. He had never expected such a thing to happen. Although Di Longzi was not highly regarded in the Heavenly First Society, the reason for that was none other than the fact that his current cultivation was that of a level 8 true immortal. While it might appear to be pretty good, due to the influence of his talent, it was extremely difficult for him to reach a breakthrough to become a level 9 true immortal. It could be said that there was no hope for him in this lifetime. Therefore, inside the Tianyi Palace, he was also living a sullen life. Under the halo of many geniuses, Di Longzi was extremely dim. Now that he had finally been sent out to such a small sect, it was naturally a great opportunity for Di Longzi to hold his head high. All the grievances and sufferings he had suffered in the sect in the past were all going to be vented out now. It was as if it had been suppressed for a long time and needed a good release. It was as if an imperial envoy had come to a remote place. He must be respected. He must be worshipped. Di Longzi even planned to wipe out the entire White Phoenix sect to establish his might. This was a matter of course. However, before he could establish his prestige, and before he could use his various methods, he had already suffered a torrent of abuse. It was as if an imperial envoy had come to a remote place and was scolded by a farmer. You! Di Longzi's eyes bulged, and his pupils were filled with dark clouds. His whole body trembled, and he suspected that he had misheard. He pointed at Xiaofan and said, "You! What did you just say? Say it again." "Oh." Xiaofan took a step forward with a smile. "Didn't you hear me clearly? I said you're a dog. A dog of the Tianyi Palace." "Alas. But I was wrong. You're not only a dog. Moreover, you're a deaf dog." "Ha ha 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 ha." Xiaofan's voice was not loud, but it was clearly heard by everyone within a radius of several dozen miles. They were all scared out of their wits. "Ha, ha, ha. BAISHI and 87th SHI stood behind Xiaofan and laughed happily. The elites of the White Phoenix sect, including Bai Fengzi and Bai Yunzi, were also very nervous. On the one hand, they were also scared out of their wits. They didn't expect that Xiaofan would directly shed all pretenses of cordiality when he said he wanted to deal with the Tianyi Palace. There was no room for negotiation at all. Wasn't this too fierce? On the other hand, the people of the White Phoenix sect were also secretly pleased, feeling proud and elated. Roar! Di Longzi roared at the sky. His face was completely flushed. The fairy energy in his body was boiling, and his body was suddenly filled with an explosive force, as if a violent energy was about to explode, engulfing and killing everything. Meanwhile, the sect master of Green Mountain sect and the elite started cursing wildly. How dare you! A heinous crime. Insulting the emissary of the Tianyi Palace is a heinous crime. Die. No one could save the White Phoenix sect. Immortal Di Longzi, please do it quickly. Destroy the White Phoenix sect immediately. Kill the entire sect. Leave no one alive. Slaughter the entire city. Wipe out all the natives of White Phoenix City. Insulting the emissary of the Tianyi Palace is a heinous crime in the fairy world. The people of the Green Mountain sect raised their necks and hissed like a group of wild beasts. At this time, Di Longzi's complexion changed a few times. From scarlet red to pale white, from pale white to green, from green to ashen. In the end, Di Longzi's violent emotions actually calmed down. He stared at Xiaofan, as if he wanted to see through Xiaofan's soul and all the secrets. His gaze was extremely terrifying, as if he could see through everything and kill them all. Around Di Longzi's body, there was a vague terrifying phenomenon of wind, clouds, and thunder. Shut up. Di Longzi waved his hand, and an invisible pressure spread out. Those disciples of the Green Mountain sect who were howling like animals all kept quiet out of fear. Who are you? Di Longzi was very indifferent. This kind of indifference also contained endless hatred and killing intent. Ha ha ha, not bad. You can restrain your anger and calm down instantly. You are indeed a disciple of the Tianyi Palace. Xiaofan nodded slightly. Judging from head to toe. Who am I? Heh. Xiaofan looked at Bai Fengzi. Now, Bai Fengzi had no way out. He had no choice but to brace himself. He looked up at the sky and said. Indeed, these three are the newly hired guest elders of the White Phoenix sect. What they say represents the White Phoenix sect. Bai Fengzi. You want to die. It looks like you haven't figured out the situation yet. If you offend the Tianyi Palace, not only will you die, but everyone related to you will also die. The sect master of the Green Mountain sect howled with a grimace. Di Longzi glanced at the sect master of the Green Mountain sect. He was so scared that he shuddered and shut up immediately. Forget it, forget it. Di Longzi shook his head slightly, as if he had made a decision. The ignorant are fearless, a level 2 true immortal, such a weak ant, ha 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 ha. So weak that you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. How dare you roar at me? Forget it, this immortal announces. The battle for the control of the teleportation formation of the White Phoenix sect will not continue. In the future, this teleportation formation will be controlled by the Green Mountain sect. It will not be changed. And the entire White Phoenix sect, step forward. One by one, kill yourselves. As for you 3 foreign officials, kill yourselves as well. I will report to my superiors and investigate your identities. Then, all those related to you will be executed. Di Longzi seemed to be announcing some kind of imperial edict. The grand battle for the control of the teleportation formation was now cancelled by a single sentence from Di Longzi. Moreover, Di Longzi also announced the future ownership of the teleportation formation, and even made a judgment on the White Phoenix sect. Die. Extermination of the sect. 3 foreign officials, dead. Those related to them would be exterminated along with their families. All of the immortals present were bitterly disappointed. Overbearing. The people of the Tianyi Palace were too overbearing. But what they said was indeed irrefutable. Irresistible. It was like fate. Now, fate had arranged for the destruction of the White Phoenix sect. Ha 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 ha. In the silence, Xiaofan burst out laughing, as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Ha 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 ha. You announce it? You announce the ownership of the teleportation formation? You announce our death? What right do you have to do that? Xiaofan asked with great interest. Why? Di Longzi was very cold, his killing intent surging. Because of the Tianyi Palace. Are you not convinced? I will give you 3 breaths of time to kill yourself. Otherwise, this immortal will make a move and put you in a dilemma of life and death. Forget it. Xiaofan waved his hand. I also announce that the Green Mountain sect will be destroyed, and the emissary of the Tianyi Palace will kill himself. As soon as he said that, pfft. Ha ha ha, this foreign elder of the White Phoenix sect is a madman. Ha ha ha. The immortals present burst into derisive laughter. I will also give you 3 breaths of time to kill yourself. Xiaofan looked at Di Longzi. Idiot. Di Longzi's pupils contracted. 3 breaths later, Xiaofan shrugged his shoulders helplessly. If that's the case, then, as soon as he finished speaking, swoosh, Xiaofan's right index and middle fingers drew a line. Saber radiance appeared. Pfft, in the void, Di Longzi's left arm was cut off by the saber radiance. Immortal blood gushed out. Oh? This? Di Longzi could not react at all. The saber was too fast. It was so fast that Di Longzi could not feel the pain. Next. Pfft. 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 The saber radiance flashed 3 times. Di Longzi's right arm, left leg, and right leg were all cut off. In an instant, Di Longzi was covered in blood, his limbs cut off. He fell from the void. At this moment, he seemed to feel the pain and burst out a heart-wrenching scream. Ah! No! My hand! My foot! Bang! Di Longzi fell to the ground. His body, which had lost all 4 limbs, kept wriggling and screaming like a pig being slaughtered. He kept rolling on the ground and burrowing into the ground. Xiaofan looked at Di Longzi with pity and shook his head. I have already said that I will give you 3 breaths of time to kill yourself. You can die quickly. But you did not listen, and now. Sigh. Ah. 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 Di Longzi screamed crazily. The saber qi not only cut off his limbs, but also seeped into his meridians and internal organs, destroying his internal immortal qi, causing him to lose his self-healing ability. His life aura was getting weaker and weaker. Everyone was dumbfounded. Everyone broke down. It was unbelievable. A level 2 genuine immortal had actually cut off the limbs of a level 8 genuine immortal, the messenger of the Tianyi Palace, in an instant. The cruelty of his methods left everyone flabbergasted. From now on, I will protect the White Phoenix sect. Xiaofan said sternly. Bai Fengzi, go and kill this Tianyi Palace messenger. To be continued. Chapter 713. In fact, Di Longzi was here to establish his power, and Xiaofan also wanted to establish his power. Therefore, as soon as they met, Xiaofan displayed the exquisite saber movement of the 100-generation saber principle and killed Di Longzi with a thunderous method. Moreover, Xiaofan's method was very cruel. He didn't kill Di Longzi directly, but cut off his limbs, causing him to howl in pain. He didn't die immediately. In this way, he could greatly dampen the spirit of the Tianyi Palace. Di Longzi was still screaming. Let me go. Don't kill me. Every scream was no less than a heavy hammer that hammered into the depths of every immortal's heart. This guest elder of the White Phoenix sect was simply insane. The brutality of his methods was enough to make one's hair stand on end. It was tantamount to declaring war on the Tianyi Palace. In the entire celestial realm, almost no one had the guts to declare war on the Tianyi Palace. Xiaofan had broken the rules. Moreover, Di Longzi's begging and howling were telling every immortal present that the disciples of the Tianyi Palace could also die. Bai Fengzi, kill the messenger of the Tianyi Palace with your own hands, Xiaofan said indifferently. This Bai Fengzi hesitated for a moment. He knew that Xiaofan was doing this to prove his loyalty. Letting him kill the messenger of the Tianyi Palace with his own hands would make him a mortal enemy of the Tianyi Palace. Fight to the death. Bai Fengzi looked at Di Longzi, leader of the White Phoenix sect. You dare to kill me? You dare to kill me? Di Longzi screamed at Bai Fengzi while gasping in pain. Logically speaking, with the power of the Tianyi Palace, Bai Fengzi would never dare to touch a hair of Di Longzi. But now, Xiaofan was also making things difficult for him. If Bai Fengzi didn't do it, he would directly offend Xiaofan. Xiaofan was also a person he couldn't afford to offend. Forget it. The Tianyi Palace has been an enemy of the White Phoenix sect for a long time. This time, if it weren't for this young master, we wouldn't have come. If it weren't for this young master, our White Phoenix sect would have been destroyed. Since that was the case, he might as well go all out and do it. Besides, we also swore an oath. Swear loyalty to this young master. Furthermore, if we don't agree to this young master's request, our White Phoenix sect will perish in an instant. I'll bet. Throw caution to the wind. Finally, Bai Fengzi made her choice. Yes, young master. Bai Fengzi nodded slightly to Xiaofan. After that, he directly walked towards the Earth Dragon child who was rolling on the ground. What? Bai Fengzi really dares to make a move? None of the immortals present could believe their eyes. Don't you dare. Di Longzi spat out blood as he squirmed. A puny White Phoenix sect dares to attack me? Impudent. When I return to the Tianyi Palace, I will make a comeback and wipe out your whole sect. Die. Bai Fengzi had thrown caution to the wind. She struck out with her right palm. Her immortal power could topple the mountains and overturn the seas. The force of her palm shot out and wrapped around Di Longzi. Blazing sun immortal burning palm. Violent immortal power. Soon, it turned into an immortal fire, wrapping around the Earth Dragon's son and burning him alive. At this moment, Di Longzi's immortal power was almost exhausted, and his immortal body was extremely weak. Even though his cultivation state was one level higher than Xiaofan's, he had almost no power to resist. His whole body was burning with crackling sounds. His flesh and bones turned to ashes. Ah! No! No! My Earth son doesn't want to die here. Very quickly, the Earth Dragon's son was burned into a pile of ashes. Young master, the Tianyi Palace. The dogs of the Tianyi Palace have been turned to ashes. Bai Fengzi nodded to Xiaofan. Good, very good. Bai Fengzi, you did a good job. Xiaofan nodded approvingly. Then, he said to Bai Fengzi and 87 generations. Kill all the people of the Green Mountain sect. Yes. Master. Suddenly, Bai Fengzi and 87 generations. Lightning strikes. Saber lights flashed wildly. Puff. 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 The sect master of the Green Mountain sect, a level 8 true immortal, was instantly cut into pieces by the saber lights. He didn't even have a chance to struggle. The rest of the elders and disciples of the Green Mountain sect were all dead. The Green Mountain sect was wiped out in an instant. This result was brought about by Fengzi and 87 generations using a small part of their energy and the unparalleled sharpness of Fengzi's saber Dao. Of course, they only used a small part of their energy and didn't reveal their true combat prowess as a mid-level immortal emperor. Swish. 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 Fengzi's right hand grabbed all the storage rings that fell from the dismembered bodies of the Green Mountain sect. Master, these are their storage rings, and also some wealth. Xiaofan put away these storage rings and said to 87 generations. Now go and eradicate the headquarters of the Green Mountain sect, confiscate all the properties, and take all the wealth of the Green Mountain sect. Those who resist are to be killed on the spot. Those who do not resist are to be exiled. Yes. Master. 87 generations turned into a beam of light and fled. The Green Mountain sect is finished. The Green Mountain sect has been uprooted. The disciples of the White Phoenix sect were all excited. This sworn enemy of the Tianyi Palace, who had curried favor with them, was finally completely destroyed on this day. It wasn't until now that the immortals who came to watch the ceremony and the other two sects who were competing for the control of the teleportation formation of the White Phoenix sect realized what had happened. What's going on? Wiped out? The messengers of the Green Mountain sect and the Tianyi sect have all died. This is too crazy. The crowd was surging. All the immortals stood up and looked at Xiaofan with horror in their eyes. They all shrank back as if they were avoiding snakes and scorpions. At this time, Xiaofan took a few steps forward. Fengzi, and the others followed closely behind. Everyone. Xiaofan said in a loud voice. From now on, the control of this teleportation formation still belongs to the White Phoenix sect. And, the White Phoenix sect has officially declared war on the Tianyi sect. Hiss. Countless immortals gasped. In the dead silence, Xiaofan said in a loud voice. The Tianyi sect has gone too far. They oppressed the small and medium-sized sects with their power. To realize his ambition of unifying the immortal world. I believe some of the immortals present are also oppressed by the White Phoenix sect, right? Yes, now. I hereby announce that I accept your alliance. Those who are willing to join forces with the White Phoenix sect to fight against the Tianyi Palace can stay and discuss the important matters. If not, I won't force you. You can all leave. With that, the immortals stared at each other in disbelief. Countless immortal senses were communicating, forming an alliance against the Tianyi Palace? This guy was crazy to a certain extent. What was the difference between this and hitting a stone with an egg? Indeed, he had easily wiped out the messenger of the Tianyi Palace and all the members of the Qingshan school. However, this messenger. In the First Heaven sect, there were a lot of level 8 true immortals. Moreover, the First Heaven sect even had a lot of low-level immortal emperors. How? The small and medium-sized sects controlled by the Tianyi Palace. Countless high-level true immortals were willing to risk their lives for them. Our meager strength isn't even enough to fill the gaps between their teeth if we join forces. Although we were oppressed by the Tianyi Palace, we didn't dare to say anything. If he gave in, he might be able to survive. But if he resisted even a little, he would definitely be turned into ashes. And his whole family would be wiped out. Although the White Phoenix sect is jumping around now, when the news of the messenger's death reaches the Tianyi Palace, a large number of immortals will come to suppress them. By then, the White Phoenix sect won't even have a tile left. Let's go. Let's get out of here as soon as possible, lest we get involved. Yes. Let's go. Ahem. Sect leader White Phoenix. Young master, we value peace above all else, so we won't get involved in this matter. We'll take our leave first. This teleportation array is controlled by the White Phoenix sect. We have no objection. Well, we'll take our leave now. Swoosh. Swoosh. Swoosh, these immortals left White Phoenix City one by one as if they were fleeing for their lives. Ha! Xiaofan didn't stop them. He just sneered. Soon, except for the people of the White Phoenix sect, the rest of the immortals fled. Young master, I believe that the news of us killing Di Longzi will soon reach the Tianyi Palace, and it will soon spread to all parts of the immortal realm. It will definitely cause a shock. I don't know what the Tianyi Palace will do to get back at us. Bai Fengzi rubbed his hands repeatedly as if he was sitting on pins and needles. We'll deal with it when it comes. Xiaofan shrugged indifferently, then turned around and walked toward the compound of the White Phoenix sect's headquarters. The people of Baishe and the White Phoenix sect followed closely behind. Listen, Bai Fengzi. Now spread the news of the war between the White Phoenix sect and the Tianyi Palace to the whole city. Let the immortals who are willing to stay, and let those who don't stay leave. Otherwise, when the Tianyi Palace attacks, it will cause panic, and we won't be implicated, Xiaofan ordered. There were a large number of immortals in White Phoenix City. Now that the war was about to begin, Xiaofan also wanted to dismiss those who didn't want to stay, in case there was chaos during the war. Yes, young master. I'll take my junior brothers to handle this matter immediately. Bai Yunzi immediately turned around and left with a few capable perfected immortals of the White Phoenix sect. Back to the compound. The 87th generation also returned from the lair of the Green Mountain sect, sweeping away all the wealth accumulated by the Green Mountain sect over the generations. He also killed some people who resisted stubbornly. At this time, Xiaofan asked Bai Fengzi and the others to leave, leaving only Baishe and the 87th generation beside him. Ha 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 ha. Master, it's so cool. Finally, the war is about to begin. Ha 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 ha. Now, I hope the Tianyi Palace will attack with all their strength. In this way, we can also kill happily. Ha 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 ha. Baishe roared excitedly. Xiaofan smiled slightly. Nibble away bit by bit. Our trump cards will be exposed bit by bit. Don't be impatient. After a pause, Xiaofan ordered. Baishe, release your celestial awareness and cover the whole area of White Phoenix City. If there is anything unusual, report to me immediately. Yes, master. The Tianyi Palace. The palace in the sky. The core area where Grand Patriarch Tianyi was located. They're rebelling. The White Phoenix sect of White Phoenix City is rebelling. They killed the disciple we sent there, Di Longzi. Sect leader, the White Phoenix sect is rebelling. A few elders, who were in a hurry, stood on the square outside the heavenly palace and roared furiously. Chapter 7:14. The news of Di Longzi's death spread to the Tianyi Palace as if it had wings. This was a big deal for the Tianyi Palace. It was an earth-shattering event. It made the elders of the Tianyi Palace furious. Because in the celestial realm, all the disciples of the Tianyi Palace had the upper hand. No force in the celestial realm dared to kill a disciple of the Tianyi Palace. Absolutely not. As the power of the Tianyi Palace expanded day by day, the concept of being the number one sect in the celestial realm had been deeply rooted in people's hearts. Moreover, in recent years, the Tianyi Palace had incorporated a large number of small and medium-sized sects as its puppets. It was no exaggeration to say that it was like the sun at high noon. Not to mention killing a disciple of the Tianyi Palace, even the slightest provocation or dissatisfaction could lead to a disaster. Now, Di Longzi had gone to a small city to oppress a small sect, which was insignificant to the Tianyi Palace, and he was also killed. This was like a slap to the face of the entire Tianyi Palace. In other words, although it was just the death of an ordinary level 8 genuine immortal disciple, it was an earth-shattering event for the Tianyi Palace. A group of elders, including many low-level immortal emperors, had already hurried to the palace in the sky, where Patriarch Tianyi lived, and reported angrily. Sect leader. Patriarch. Oh no. He's rebelling against the heavens, inside the palace in the sky. Patriarch Tian and more than a dozen medium-level immortal emperors were sitting cross-legged in a circle, using some celestial treasures. They were trying to recover their lost celestial force and divine soul. Last time, they used the void-absorbing immortal hand. They directly took Xiaofan's plane from the mortal world. They threw it in the barren area of the celestial realm, which consumed too much energy and immortal chi of Patriarch Tian and the other immortal emperors. They nourished it day and night, but they still hadn't recovered. At this moment, hearing the furious roars of the elders outside the palace, Patriarch Tian suddenly opened his eyes. For a moment, golden light filled the air, and his momentum was like that of a god descending to the mortal world. How dare they? How dare they kill a disciple of the Tianyi Palace? Hearing such news, he was shocked. Even though he was a medium-level immortal emperor, Patriarch Tian still couldn't control himself. He jumped up in rage. The other mid-tier immortal emperors, who were resting, also opened their eyes in confusion. Strange, in the immortal realm, there are still people who dare to kill a disciple of the Tianyi Palace. This is hard to understand. As for Patriarch Tianyi, the more he thought about it, the more furious he became. He had suffered a huge blow. Back then, he had sent a group of elite immortals down to deal with Xiaofan. It was a great humiliation to have his entire team wiped out, and now one of the immortals he'd sent out had died. What bad luck! This kind of thing cannot happen again. Patriarch Tianyi growled in a low voice. Our Tianyi Palace has suffered setbacks again and again. Our spirit has been eroded, which is a blow to our plan to dominate the immortal realm in the future. It had to be stopped. Moreover, we have to establish our might. As soon as he finished speaking, Patriarch Tianyi made a grabbing motion in the air and pulled an elder into the palace from outside. Ancestor. Celestial Emperors. This elder was a low-level celestial emperor, but at this moment, he was trembling in the face of a group of mid-tier celestial emperors. What the hell is going on? Patriarch Tianyi's eyes were about to spit out divine fire and burn everything. The elder was also furious. Ancestor, it's just a small city in a corner of the immortal realm. One of them, the Green Mountain sect, has submitted to our Tianyi Palace in the fight for control of the teleportation formation. We followed the usual practice and sent a disciple to help the Green Mountain sect seize control of the teleportation formation. At the same time, we could also establish our prestige in that area. However, the enemy of the Green Mountain sect, the sect we want to suppress this time, the White Phoenix sect, actually resisted. They invited 3 guest chamberlains to kill our disciple, Di Longzi, who had been sent outside. It said that they first cut off Di Longzi's limbs and then burned him to ashes. Their method was extremely cruel. As for the Green Mountain sect that submitted to us, they were also destroyed and confiscated. The White Phoenix sect even declared war on our Tianyi Palace. As the elder spoke, his body trembled, trying to suppress his anger that was about to explode. How dare they? After hearing what had happened, Patriarch Tianyi was burning with anger. His body erupted with raging waves of power that almost overturned the entire palace. Cracks appeared in the space inch by inch. Calm down, Brother Tianyi, calm down. They're just a bunch of lowly rebels. They're not worthy of your anger, the mid-tier celestial emperors tried to dissuade him. I've made a fool of myself. Patriarch Tianyi quickly calmed himself down. His eyes became as cold as ice. Listen up, send the elite disciples of the Tianyi Palace to destroy the White Phoenix sect. Destroy all the cities around the White Phoenix sect. Slaughter the cities for 10 days. Show your might. This. The elder hesitated for a moment when he heard this. Ancestor, if we slaughter the cities like this, won't those people be displeased? Humph. Those people are currently in seclusion. Moreover, they're extraordinary and focused on comprehending the great path of the universe. They no longer care about the trifles of the immortal realm. It doesn't matter. Just do as I say, Patriarch Tianyi said coldly. If we don't do it this time, the prestige that the Tianyi Palace has built up in the immortal realm will be damaged. Send level 9 and level 10 perfected immortals to deal with this matter. Patriarch Tianyi said coldly and cruelly. Ha ha ha, level 10 perfected immortals? Then, the White Phoenix sect will be finished. The mid-tier celestial emperors laughed. A level 10 perfected immortal was in existence that could defeat anyone below the celestial emperor level. There were only a few hundred celestial emperors in the immortal realm. There were not many low-level celestial emperors. Many sect leaders of large sects were at most level 9 or level 10 perfected immortals. It could be said that level 10 perfected immortals were almost at the top of the pyramid. They could do whatever they wanted in the immortal realm. It seemed. This time, Patriarch Tianyi was really angry. He wanted to destroy the small White Phoenix sect. He actually sent level 9 and level 10 perfected immortals. A storm of blood was bound to descend on White Phoenix City. Yes, yes, Patriarch. Everyone, rest in peace. Leave this matter to me. The low-level Celestial Emperor Elder said with bloodthirsty excitement in his eyes. I will send my chief disciple, level 10 perfected immortal Feng Bengal, to deal with it personally, White Phoenix City. Presently, the entire White Phoenix City had revealed a scene of chaos and chaos. The city gate was wide open. Most of the celestial citizens in the city had begun to move out of White Phoenix City with their belongings. Since White Phoenix City declared war on the Tianyi sect, the celestial citizens in the city were scared out of their wits. One by one, they scrambled to escape. In the eyes of everyone, the crazy action of the White Phoenix sect was no different from courting death. Moreover, according to Xiaofan's order, the White Phoenix sect's teleportation formation had been closed and was no longer in operation. White Phoenix City, which used to be bustling with traffic and flourishing with flowers, was now practically desolate and deserted. Some lanterns fluttered and spun on the empty street, adding to the desolation. In the courtyard of the headquarters of the White Phoenix sect. In the meeting hall. Xiaofan held a cup of fragrant tea in his hand as he sat there calmly. Bai and 87 stood behind Xiaofan in a well-behaved manner. Bai Fengzi, the elders of the White Phoenix sect, Bai Yunzi, and the other elite disciples, a total of more than 100 people, were gathered in the meeting hall. Every one of them had a sorrowful expression on their faces, as if they were lonely and helpless ghosts. Young Master. Young Master. In just one day, the celestial citizens in White Phoenix City have either left or dispersed. Now, the city is extremely empty. According to the statistics, there were hundreds of thousands of celestial citizens, but now, there are only a few thousand left. It's almost an empty city. Bai Fengzi's face was pale. Yes, the Tianyi sect is too powerful. I've already expected this situation, so it's nothing. Xiaofan smiled indifferently. Moreover, Bai Fengzi licked her lips and said through gritted teeth. Young Master, according to our intelligence, the Tianyi sect has already sent a group of high-level perfected immortals to attack our White Phoenix City. They're very aggressive, ha 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 ha. Xiaofan stretched his muscles and said, they're here so soon. Not bad, not bad. After pausing for a while, Xiaofan smiled. It seems that you're very afraid? This, if we're afraid, it's a little. Bai Fengzi stammered. He looked at the other people of the White Phoenix sect and saw that their faces were all sallow. Ha ha ha. It's normal to be afraid. After all, the Tianyi sect is a colossus. Xiaofan touched his nose and said lazily. Now, I'll give you some courage. Courage? Bai Fengzi and the others were all stunned. The next moment, 99 SHI. Xiaofan suddenly roared. Boom! Between Xiaofan's eyebrows, a dazzling glow rose. A young man with a face as cold as a knife suddenly appeared in front of Xiaofan. He carried a single saber on his back, and his aura was as deep as the sea. In his eyes, there was a terrifying phenomenon of stars vanishing and the birth of the universe. Immortal Emperor. The violent aura of an immortal emperor. Ah! This is. It's more than a level 10 perfected immortal. No, it's more terrifying than any perfected immortal. This is. All the people of the White Phoenix sect trembled and knelt down. Tears streamed down their faces. They wailed loudly. They all lost their composure. This is, ha 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 ha. That's right, this is, an immortal emperor. Xiaofan flicked his fingernails. Now, you're a little more confident, right? In this 99 SHI, according to Xiaofan's instructions, he slightly restrained his aura and only showed the aura of a low-level immortal emperor. However, even so, the people of the White Phoenix sect were so scared that they wet their pants. Master. Greetings, Master. In the 99 SHI, he knelt down on one knee in front of Xiaofan. Ah! Bai Fengzi twitched violently and fainted. Oh my God! An immortal emperor, kneeled down to this young man with the aura of a level 2 perfected immortal? A real immortal emperor kneeled down to a level 2 perfected immortal young man and called him Master? This was crazy. This was really crazy. 99 SHA, get up. There will be a big battle next. Be prepared to fight. Xiaofan grinned. Yes. Master. My saber is already unable to endure its hunger and thirst. The 99 King grinned and revealed an extremely evil, cold smile. Then, he restrained his aura and changed it to that of a level 5 perfected immortal. He stood obediently behind Xiaofan. He said to Bai Shi. Big brother. Then, he said to Bai Shi, younger sister 87. Bai Shi and Bai Shi smiled as well. This time, we are working for Master. We must do it properly, Bai Shi said in a commanding tone. I understand, Bai Shi said respectfully. Seeing this, Bai Fengzi, who had just woken up, twitched again and foamed at the mouth. Her eyes rolled back and she fainted again. This immortal emperor actually called Xiaofan's follower, a level 5 perfected immortal, big brother, in other words. The strength of Xiaofan's previous 2 followers could also be, immortal emperor. 3 immortal emperors. He has 3 immortal emperors by his side. With this kind of foundation, who would he be afraid of? He was indeed qualified to challenge the First Heaven sect. Young Master, these 2 are also immortal. Immortal. Emperor, level? Bai Yunzi's eyes widened. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask, Xiaofan replied ambiguously. To be continued. Chapter 7:15. The war between the White Phoenix sect and the Tianyi Palace was about to begin. In fact, in the immortal world, it was normal for sects to fight for territory. It happened sometimes. For instance, the battle between the White Phoenix sect and the Green Mountain sect. However, in this way, the Tianyi Palace dispatched a level 10 genuine immortal to lead a large army to suppress a medium-sized sect. In the immortal world, such a thing had become extremely rare in recent years. Because none of the sects in the celestial world dared to openly wage war against the Tianyi Palace, thus, this matter was like a plague that spread to every corner of the immortal dimension. Countless immortals were paying close attention to this matter. Among them were various sects. There were countless hidden clans. There were countless immortals with extremely high realms who did not reveal themselves. There were also some low-grade immortal emperors and even mid-grade immortal emperors. In a short period of time, the entire immortal world's attention was focused on White Phoenix City. Of course, no immortal would be stupid enough to join in the fun and offend the Tianyi Palace. However, countless immortal senses had already enveloped White Phoenix City and its surroundings. He paid close attention to his every move. However, there were also quite a number of immortals who didn't envelop the area with their immortal senses. Because there was no need. To put it bluntly, this was a massacre. It was a one-sided massacre. The only interesting thing was how the people of the Tianyi Palace tortured and killed them. Did they destroy White Phoenix City in an instant? Or capture the entire White Phoenix sect and torture them to death? None of the immortals believed the White Phoenix sect had the slightest ability to resist. In the void. Hong. A huge immortal cloud moved with the speed of a laser. Shuttling and flying. Above this immortal cloud, a group of true immortals stood majestically, their expressions cold and arrogant. This was the aura of a group of true immortals. It was unimaginably huge. Moreover, the immortal energy fluctuations their bodies released were extremely pure, the atmosphere solemn, definitely not a motley crew. These were the troops sent by the Tianyi Palace to suppress the White Phoenix sect. The leader was a young man dressed in a black robe with golden edges. His eyebrows were like swords, and his back was as straight as a spear. His eyes looked down on the world, looking down on all living beings. Inside his body, immortal energy surged like waves, rumbling and surging. In terms of aura alone, this person was far from being comparable to Di Longzi who had fallen in White Phoenix City. This person's aura and Di Longzi's were worlds apart. He could squash Di Longzi to death with just one finger. Wind bracelets. A level 10 true immortal style bracelet. This time, the one leading the crusade against White Phoenix City was Feng Huanzi, who was only one step away from becoming an immortal emperor. He was an elder of the Tianyi Palace. The head disciple of a low-level immortal emperor. Feng Huanzi was one of the core disciples of the Tianyi Palace. His entire life. There was also the possibility of breaking through the shackles and becoming an immortal emperor in one step. Putting aside whether or not he could become an immortal emperor, just being a level 10 true immortal was enough for him to do whatever he wanted in the immortal world. In particular, the level 10 genuine immortals trained by the Tianyi Palace could summon wind and rain at will. With top-grade celestial artifacts and Dharma treasures in their hands, no one below the celestial emperor was a match for them. The wind bracelet was very famous in the immortal world. They were not easy to deal with. At this moment, with Feng Huanzi in the lead, there were 10 level 9 true immortals standing behind him. 20 level 8 true immortals. 50 level 7 true immortals. Flourishing. This lineup could indeed be called flourishing. Older martial brother Feng Huanzi, the White Phoenix sect is just a small sect in a small city on the border. I didn't expect that they would be so arrogant as to declare war on the Tianyi Palace. And they even killed our junior martial brother Di Longzi. I still can't figure it out. Behind Feng Huanzi, a level 9 true immortal said with a frown. Humph. Feng Huanzi snorted, which made the souls of all the immortals standing on the immortal cloud tremble. No matter what, the task assigned to us is to slaughter all the cities and sects around the White Phoenix sect. Blood will flow like a river, so that the Tianyi Palace can establish its prestige. Slaughter the city for 10 days. The small White Phoenix City will be razed to the ground, and no grass will grow. It's only natural to flatten the White Phoenix City and destroy the White Phoenix sect. But this time, we've brought too many people, haven't we? The higher-ups actually sent older martial brother Feng Huanzi to take action in person. This is a bit like killing a chicken with a butcher's knife. In fact, just a few level 9 true immortals like us are enough to destroy the White Phoenix sect a dozen times. Another level 9 true immortal said. Cut the crap. Feng Huanzi glared at them. The other immortals were so frightened that they kept quiet out of fear. Then, Feng Huanzi slowed down and said, the sect attaches great importance to this operation. It's not without reason. Recently, the sect has suffered a lot. As soon as he said that, the immortals all felt sad. Previously, when we went to the mortal world to capture that anomaly, Xiaofan, we failed. Dozens of our junior martial brothers died in the mortal world. Then, we sent Di Longzi to suppress the White Phoenix sect, but he also failed. Junior martial brother Di Longzi died tragically. These two things have a great impact on the prestige of the Tianyi Palace. Therefore, this operation must not fail again, otherwise. Feng Huanzi frowned slightly. Yes, senior martial brother Feng Huanzi, we completely understand. However, with senior martial brother Feng Huanzi's ability, it's too easy to deal with the White Phoenix sect. Besides, this time, junior martial brother Jia Lanzi went to the mortal world and brought back many high-quality fairy weapons and magic treasures from Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao's treasure, so that each of us can get one. I believe that with these magic treasures, our combat effectiveness will be even stronger, and we won't fail again. Feng Huanzi nodded slightly. He flipped his right hand, and a golden spear appeared in his hand, which was shining brightly. This offensive fairy weapon was brought back by Jia Lanzi from Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao's treasure, and was given to Feng Huanzi by an elder of the Tianyi Palace. The fairy weapon and the aura of Feng Huanzi's soul were very compatible. With this fairy weapon, Feng Huanzi was confident that his combat effectiveness would be increased by at least 30%. Just be careful, and nothing will go wrong. Feng Huanzi put the golden spear back into his body. At this time, wherever the cloud passed, the wind was blowing and the cranes were screaming. Everyone was in danger. No immortal dared to show up at all. Even some immortal emperors. They just watched from afar. White Phoenix City. The news that the people of the Tianyi Palace were coming covered White Phoenix City like a dark cloud. Now, the city gate of White Phoenix City was closed. There were only a few thousand immortals in the city. These thousands of immortals had nowhere to go. Secondly, they had lived in White Phoenix City for a long time and had a deep affection for it. They couldn't bear to leave and were ready to die for the city. A small part of them was loyal to the White Phoenix sect. Most of them were level 1 and level 2 genuine immortals, and only a few level 3 genuine immortals. As for level 4 genuine immortals, there were none. The headquarters of the White Phoenix sect. In the meeting hall in the courtyard, Xiaofan and the people of the White Phoenix sect sat in a circle. By sure. The 99th. The 87th. He stood behind Xiaofan with his arms crossed, his eyes full of excitement. He. Master, those guys are coming. I can't help but be excited. He. Bai Shi grinned hideously and licked his lips with his tongue. As for Bai Fengzi and the others, their hearts that were hanging in suspense were now completely at ease. They also looked relaxed. What a joke. There were 3 immortal emperors here. What could the Tianyi Palace do? Furthermore, Xiaohan's indifferent expression showed that he was hiding something. Who knew if he had an even more powerful trump card up his sleeve? This young master's realm is definitely not at the immortal emperor level. After all, he is still too young. However, it is precisely because he is not at the immortal emperor level that he has 3 immortal emperors as his followers, which shows his distinguished identity. Who on earth is he? I'm afraid he really has something to do with those high-level immortal emperors who live in seclusion. The more Bai Fengzi thought about it, the more excited she became. By the way, the young master said that he wanted our White Phoenix sect to replace the Tianyi Palace and become the #1 sect in the immortal world. I thought it was nonsense before, but now, it seems that it is not impossible. All the senior members of the White Phoenix sect were excited. At this time, Xiaofan asked casually. Bai Fengzi, has the latest map of the immortal world been found? This. Bai Fengzi was very nervous. Young master, this map of the immortal world, there is no news for the time being. However, I have inquired about it. Almost only a very large sect can have the most complete and latest map of the immortal world, Xiaofan frowned slightly. We still can't get the latest map of the immortal world? It should be known that Xiaofan was also anxious. In order to save Wu Yu, Xiao Mingchu, and the others as soon as possible, he had to get the latest map of the immortal world and find the extremely hidden location of the Red Crane Canyon. Master, this is actually nothing. The 99th generation smiled. The Tianyi Palace must have the latest map of the immortal world. What do you mean? A cunning light flashed in Xiaohan's eyes. This time, the Tianyi Palace will send troops to kill us. We will capture a few captives and then exchange them for the map. However, a malicious light flashed in the 99th generation's eyes. After getting the map, immediately kill the hostages and kill them, ha 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 ha. Not bad, this is a good idea. Good, good, very good. Then, 99th generation, when the battle starts, you are responsible for capturing the leader of the Tianyi Palace alive. Xiaofan licked his lips. Yes, master, this is a piece of cake. The 99th generation patted his chest and said. At the same time, in the area around the White Phoenix sect, some sects, such as the sects that had competed with the White Phoenix sect for control of the teleportation array, were now watching the fire from the other side. They were also ready to see what would happen to the White Phoenix sect. Boom! The troops of the Tianyi Palace against the White Phoenix sect were led by Feng Huanzi, a level 10 true immortal. Soon, they would arrive at the area where White Phoenix City was located. Junior brothers. Before entering White Phoenix City, they would first slaughter all the surrounding cities and sections. Massacre the entire city. Cause panic in White Phoenix City. Make them mentally break down. Feng Huanzi ordered coldly. Yes. Senior brother. To be continued. Chapter 7:16. The First Heaven Sect's army against the White Phoenix sect had arrived at the cities around White Phoenix City, led by the extremely powerful level 10 perfected immortal Feng Huanghui. The immortal cloud stopped in the air. Feng Huanghui nodded indifferently and looked down at the cities below. These are the cities around the White Phoenix sect. It's really a remote place, sesame seeds and mung beans, senior brother, can we start the slaughter? The level 9 perfected immortals behind him said eagerly. Let's kill them. Slaughter the cities around White Phoenix City and turn it into an isolated city. Finally, we'll defeat the White Phoenix sect and establish our dominance. Feng Huanghui grinned hideously. At this moment, in the cities around White Phoenix City, there were sects in these cities as well. For example, the Tiger Hunting sect and the Engraving Dragon sect had gone to White Phoenix City to compete with the Green Mountain sect and the White Phoenix sect for the control of the teleportation formation. At this moment, in Tiger Hunting City controlled by the Tiger Hunting sect, the huge city was in a state of complete silence. The hundreds of thousands of celestial citizens in the city were all silent. Above them, there was an immortal cloud. Dozens of terrifying celestials stood on the immortal cloud, exuding an extremely domineering aura. Under the cover of this invincible aura, all the people in Tiger Hunting City held their breaths. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. At the headquarters of the Tiger Hunting sect, in the meeting hall, the sect leader of the Tiger Hunting sect, as well as many elders and elite disciples, gathered together. They were all pale with fear. They were discussing in low voices, the First Heaven sect's army has arrived. They're going to wipe out the White Phoenix sect. It's so terrifying. I can sense the arrival of a level 10 perfected immortal. I didn't expect this. To deal with White Phoenix City, the First Heaven sect attached so much importance to it that they sent a level 10 perfected immortal. In the First Heaven sect, level 10 perfected immortals are all core disciples. They're only one step away from becoming a low-level celestial emperor. An elder of the Tiger Hunting sect was a level 7 perfected immortal. He sighed with emotion. The sect leader of the tiger hunting sect was also a level 7 perfected immortal. Now, I don't know how the White Phoenix sect will deal with the current situation. Speaking of which, the 3 guest elders recruited by the White Phoenix sect are indeed powerful. They killed a level 8 true immortal's son with a single move. Sect Master, a level 8 true immortal and a level 10 true immortal are 2 completely different concepts. They are on 2 completely different levels. The White Phoenix sect was ultimately a frog at the bottom of a well. Do you think that you can fight against the Tianyi Palace just because you recruited 3 foreign officials whose fighting capacity is equivalent to that of a level 9 true immortal? How childish and ridiculous. The people of Tiger Hunting Sect estimated that Xiaofan, Baishe, and Baishe's battle prowess were at most level 9 true immortals. Yes, the White Phoenix sect is finished this time. The level 10 genuine immortals trained by the Tianyi Palace were completely different from the level 10 genuine immortals trained by other sections. It can be said that the level 10 genuine immortals of the Tianyi Palace usually take the best elixirs when they cultivate. Besides, they are armed with supreme-grade magic weapons. No one can stop them. Well, I heard that when the immortals went to the lower world to explore the treasure of immortal Emperor Zhu Dao, Jia Lanzi, the most powerful genius of the younger generation of the Tianyi Palace, brought back a lot of magic weapons. There were thousands of them, which made the Tianyi Palace even more powerful. Good, good. The sect leader of the tiger hunting sect breathed a sigh of relief and laughed. Anyway, this has nothing to do with us. Let's just sit here and watch the White Phoenix sect be destroyed. Right. After the White Phoenix sect is destroyed, the teleportation formation will be without a master. Moreover, the Green Mountain sect will also be destroyed. In this case, doesn't it give us a chance? As he spoke, the sect leader of the tiger hunting sect completely trembled. This is a coincidence. If we take this opportunity to curry favor with the Tianyi Palace, it is not impossible for us to control the teleportation formation. Ha 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 ha. Fortunately, we did not listen to the slanderous words of the guest elders of the White Phoenix sect and formed an alliance with them to fight against the Tianyi Palace. Otherwise, we would have been destroyed as well. Just thinking about it makes me scared. Ha 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 ha. That's right. Sometimes, life and death is just a matter of a single thought. The elders and many disciples of the tiger hunting sect also laughed and echoed. Now, the people of the Tianyi Palace are above our tiger hunting city. I guess they will leave soon to fight against the White Tiger sect. The sect leader of the tiger hunting sect said with a smile. I hope they leave soon. Alas, they are always above our tiger hunting city. The atmosphere is very depressing, at this moment. Boom. 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 The immortal clouds above the tiger hunting sect suddenly burst out rays of golden light. In the golden light, there were countless images of immortals sitting in meditation, solemn and dignified. In each ray of golden light, there was a trace of a supreme-grade celestial skill. Great slaughter. Great destruction. Puff. 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 Under the bombardment of the golden light, the space around the tiger hunting city was destroyed. The buildings began to collapse and were turned into dust by the golden light. The immortal citizens within Hunting Tiger City were also caught off guard and were blasted to smithereens. The disaster seemed to befall Tiger Hunting City without any warning. Originally, the immortals of the Tiger Hunting City thought that the immortal clouds would only stay in the Tiger Hunting City for a while and then directly attack the White Phoenix sect. They never thought that the people of the Tianyi Palace would attack them. They were innocent. Boom. 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 The golden light kept shining and sweeping. Soon, the tiger hunting city was in a mess. The buildings were in ruins, and immortals were dying everywhere. Ah! No! No! Why did they kill us? We have never offended the Tianyi Palace. We have always been law-abiding. They killed us by mistake. Why did they kill us by mistake? It was the White Phoenix sect that offended the Tianyi Palace. It had nothing to do with our tiger hunting city. There were miserable cries. The originally prosperous hunting tiger city had turned into an Azura hell at this moment. The immortals died one after another. The buildings in the city were completely destroyed. This city. It was already on the verge of destruction. At the headquarters of the tiger hunting sect. Rumble. 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 The entire meeting hall began to shake. Ah. No. Why did this happen? The disaster came in an instant. So much so that the sect master of the tiger hunting sect, the elders, and the elite disciples didn't even have time to react. When they came to their senses, the entire tiger hunting city was about to be razed to the ground. Sect master. Hurry up and get out. Hurry up and negotiate with the immortals of the Tianyi Palace. There must be a mistake. We have already disassociated ourselves from the White Phoenix sect. Why did they kill us? There must be a mistake. They think that our tiger hunting city is the White Phoenix sect. Some of the elders raised their heads to the sky and roared, tears streaming down their cheeks. There was no time to lose. The sect master of the tiger hunting sect flew out. At this time, the sect master of the tiger hunting sect glanced around. Tiger hunting city had been destroyed. It was in ruins. The buildings that used to rise and fall had now become a depression. Puff, the sect master of the tiger hunting sect, spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, the sect master of the tiger hunting sect knelt down and kept kowtowing in the direction of the immortal clouds. This is an undeserved disaster. An undeserved disaster. Tiger hunting city was destroyed in an instant. Immortals of the Tianyi Palace. You must be mistaken. This is not White Phoenix City, but Tiger Hunting City. Above the immortal clouds. Immediately. A noble and indifferent voice responded. Tiger Hunting City. Yes. That's right, we are going to destroy Tiger Hunting City. The sect master of the Tiger Hunting sect was completely stunned. Then, he burst into tears. Why did you kill the Tiger Hunting sect? Why? It was the White Phoenix sect that provoked the Tianyi Palace. What does it have to do with the Tiger Hunting sect? Shut up. When the White Phoenix sect rebelled, why didn't the Tiger Hunting sect stop them? Die. As soon as he finished speaking, puff. A golden spear shadow flashed and directly pierced the heart of the sect master of the Tiger Hunting sect. The sect master of the Tiger Hunting sect fell. Following this, another overwhelming golden ray descended from the sky, killing every immortal in the hunting tiger city. Not a single one was left alive. The Tiger Hunting sect was destroyed. Then, in a short time, the crusade force of the Tianyi Palace completely wiped out the cities around White Phoenix City. They slaughtered all the cities and razed them to the ground, leaving no one alive. It was extremely cruel. The horrible behavior of the crusade force of the Tianyi Palace had been seen by the immortals who were paying attention to the war. Those immortals who were watching the White Phoenix sect with their celestial senses were also shocked. I didn't expect this. I really didn't expect the Tianyi Palace to be so ruthless. This time, they didn't just deal with the White Phoenix sect. They also wiped out all the sects in the cities around White Phoenix sect. They are establishing their prestige. They are absolutely establishing their prestige. They want to establish the prestige of terror and decisiveness so that from now on, no one will dare to go against the Tianyi Palace. This grand ancestor Tianyi is really a ruthless and ambitious man. White Phoenix City. White Phoenix sect. In the council hall. Now, Bai Fengzi and the others were also very shocked. Too cruel. He actually wiped out all the cities and sects around us. Bai Fengzi swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and her body couldn't help but tremble. In such a short period of time, he killed over 1 million innocent people. It's nothing, said the 99th generation, who was standing behind Xiaofan. Some of the cities around us are too weak. There are only some level 6 and level 7 perfected immortals guarding them. Most of them are like ants in level 1, level 2, and level 3 perfected immortals. They were easily wiped out by a level 10 perfected immortal and a large group of level 8 and level 9 perfected immortals. If I were to take action, I could destroy dozens of such cities in an instant. The 99th generation's words scared by Fengzi and the others so much that their faces turned blue. But it made sense. An immortal emperor was many times more powerful than a level 10 perfected immortal. Once he made a move, the situation would definitely change. They just want to establish their prestige. Ha ha ha. Poor thing. I asked those guys to surrender and fight against the Tianyi Palace together. In fact, I did that to protect them, but they refused. They thought that they could sleep peacefully if they stayed out of this matter. Unexpectedly. Ha ha ha. They are really courting death. Xiaofan smiled indifferently. However, the Tianyi Palace is really naive. Do they think they can establish their prestige and scare people with such a clumsy method? The more powerful they are, the more they will be slapped in the face. Tianyi Palace, this time, I will ruin your reputation in the immortal world. As he said that, Xiaofan's eyes lit up and he directly stood up. Later, capture the level 10 perfected immortal leading the Tianyi Palace alive and use him as a hostage in exchange for the latest map of the immortal world. As for the other level 8 and level 9 perfected immortals, kill them all. Yes, master. After slaughtering some cities around White Phoenix City, the immortal cloud finally drifted slowly in the direction of White Phoenix City. A strong pressure followed and engulfed them. The atmosphere became extremely stagnant. The souls of the fallen immortals in the surrounding cities seemed to be steaming, choking with resentment. The shadow of death covered the sun. The air was full of the smell of blood. Above the immortal cloud. Older martial brother Feng Huanzi, we have arrived at White Phoenix City. The level 9 perfected immortal behind him reported. He paused for a moment. Older martial brother, White Phoenix City is very deserted. The number of immortals has decreased sharply. Now, there are only thousands of immortals. In the core area, the headquarters of the White Phoenix sect, there are still thousands of immortals, evil creatures of White Phoenix City, come out, kneel, and accept your punishment. Suddenly, the golden spear in Feng Huanzi's hand shook. The wind blew, and his clothes fluttered. For a moment, he looked unparalleled. Ha 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 ha. Wild laughter came from White Phoenix City. The next moment. Swoosh. 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 Xiaofan, the 100th generation, the 99th generation, and the 87th generation had already appeared opposite the immortal cloud. Master, I will capture this level 10 perfected immortal now and hand him over to you. The 99th generation grinned hideously and stepped forward. To be continued. Chapter 717. Finally, the army led by Feng Huanzi arrived at White Phoenix City. Xiaofan also came to greet them with 3 attendants. The two sides confronted each other head-on. Of course, Xiaofan, Bai Shi, 99 Shi, and 87 Shi all hid their real auras. Xiaofan still had the aura of a level 2 true immortal, while Bai Shi, 99 Shi, and 87 Shi all had the aura of a level 5 true immortal. Xiaofan's level 2 true immortal aura was disguised by a demonic technique, the reincarnation incantation. In order not to be seen through by these immortals, Xiaofan released the aura of his immortal body without limit, making the reincarnation incantation even more perfect. These level 10 and level 9 true immortals didn't see any flaws at all. Oh? Capture me alive? Feng Huanzi held the golden spear and looked at Xiaofan and the others disdainfully. You must be the guest elders invited by the White Phoenix sect. Xiaofan slightly stopped 99 era, who was already unable to restrain himself from making a move, and smiled. Yes, we are the guest elders of the White Phoenix sect. Now, almost all the immortals in the celestial realm who were secretly watching had focused their attention on White Phoenix City. They watched from afar. If the Tianyi Palace slaughtering the cities around White Phoenix City and killing millions of immortals was just to pave the way, now the real show was finally on. The Tianyi Palace was finally going to attack the White Phoenix sect. As for the White Phoenix sect, they were going to fight a few guest elders. Countless celestial senses swept over and observed. In the celestial realm, a large number of immortals began to communicate with each other using their celestial senses. There was a lot of discussion, so they are the guest elders of the White Phoenix sect. That is to say, they are also these guys. They killed the emissary of the Tianyi Palace, Di Longzi. TSK. How dare they? But they are just ordinary. Even if they hide their true strength, they can't compete with the Tianyi Palace. Feng Huanzi. The Tianyi Palace sent Feng Huanzi to lead the army to attack the White Phoenix sect. Feng Huanzi is at the peak of a level 10 true immortal and is very famous in the celestial realm. Below the immortal emperor. The wind bracelet could indeed sweep away everything. There was no longer any suspense in this battle. It seemed that White Phoenix City would vanish into thin air in an instant. After this battle, the Tianyi Palace had once again established its prestige. The Tianyi Palace told the small sects in the immortal world that no matter what, they could not disobey them. Otherwise, they would be exterminated and their neighbors would be implicated. Among the spectators, there was no lack of small and medium-sized sections. Now, in these people's hearts, they all felt a little helpless, and even a little sad for the loss of the rabbit. The Tianyi Palace was very powerful in the celestial realm and had exploited many small and medium-sized sections. The slightest bit of disobedience would be a devastating blow. In fact, these small and medium-sized sects all subconsciously hoped that someone could stand up against the Tianyi Palace. Now, there was indeed someone who stood up to resist, but the result was death. Feng Huanzi had also suppressed the killing intent and anger of the immortals behind him. He looked coldly at Xiaofan and the others like a cat toying with a mouse. Junior brother Di Longzi died in your hands, didn't he? Whoever did this, stand up now, kneel down, and accept the torture. I will use the cruelest punishment in the immortal world on him. I will make him howl in pain for 10 days and 10 nights before he dies. I will also warn the world not to provoke the dignity of the Tianyi Palace, or they will pay an unimaginable price. Idiot. The 99th generation grinned. What? What are you talking about? Are you insulting senior brother Feng Huanzi? The immortals standing behind Feng Huanzi were all furious. At this time, Xiaofan didn't intend to dawdle anymore. In fact, Xiaofan also knew that at this moment, in the vast immortal world, there must be countless immortals watching this battle. For this reason, Xiaofan gave Feng Bangle so much time to perform and let Feng Bangle boast. When the whole immortal world thought that Feng Huanzi would sweep the White Phoenix sect without any suspense, Xiaofan suddenly counterattacked. He turned the situation around. In this way, it would bring an extremely sensational effect. A crazy slap in the face. Okay, you should have said enough. Xiaofan suddenly burst into a cold smile, and then. The 99th generation. Live this guy. The 100th generation, the 87th generation, kill all the remaining immortal dogs of the Tianyi Palace. As soon as he finished speaking, boom. 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 The 100th generation, the 99th generation, the 87th generation, all attacked at the same time. In an instant, no one could react. Not only did Feng Huanzi and the others not react. Even the countless immortals watching didn't have time to react at all. Even some low-level immortal emperors, because they were far away, didn't have time to see the situation clearly when the sudden change happened. Of course, the middle-level immortal emperors didn't have the interest to pay attention to this unsuspenseful battle. For them, it was just a small fight. In an instant, the whole sky above the White Phoenix City was shrouded in a kind of darkness, as if doomsday was coming. Everything was chaotic. The world was in disorder. The laws were collapsing. The roars and howls of primitive beasts were faintly heard. At this moment, time seemed to have stopped. This moment seemed to be very long. But this moment seemed to be less than 1,000th of a second. When the light of White Phoenix City reappeared, something terrifying was about to happen. The insufferably arrogant Feng Huanzi with the golden spear in his hand was directly gripped by the neck by the 99th generation and lifted up with one hand. All of Feng Huanzi's immortal energy was blocked. His face was full of shock, despair, and helplessness, and a strange gurgling sound came from his throat. How could this be? Just now, in an instant, I fell into a terrible situation, and then, was captured. I didn't even have the chance to react. This, ha ha ha. The 99th generation held Feng Huanzi's neck with one hand and weighed the golden spear with the other as he spoke disdainfully. Trash. If not for Master's order to capture you alive, right now, your soul would have been scattered, and you would have been blasted into pieces. You still dare to clamor in front of Master? On the other side. Around the 99th generation and the 87th generation. They were all pieces of immortal corpses. Master, it's done. The 99th generation flicked his fingernails, and a stream of blood spurted out. The 87th generation smiled gently as well. Master, not a single one survived, dead. All the level 9, level 8, and level 7 true immortals that Feng Huanzi had brought with him were dead. There was no battle at all. It was an instant death. Instantly dead. Feng Huanzi was like a little chick. He had been captured alive. Almost half of the immortals watching the battle fainted from fright. They all felt like they were in a nightmare. Not a single immortal dared to accept this reality. Good, well done. Xiaofan smiled faintly. However, on second thought, it wasn't that big of a deal. Using the combat strength of a mid-level immortal emperor to deal with some true immortals, it was no different from smashing an egg with a hammer. Of course, when the three of them attacked, the immortal emperor aura on them was fleeting. It was hard to detect. Now that they had succeeded, they had reverted to their mediocre level 5 true immortals, making them unfathomable. Boom! Xiaofan put all the flying corpses into his storage ring. Hehe, these are the corpses of high-level true immortals. Using them to nourish the demon the arch left arm is a top-grade nourishment. Xiaofan didn't want to waste these resources that could increase the power of the demon the arch left arm. However, he wasn't stupid enough to digest these nutrients in the immortal realm. He stored them temporarily to avoid wasting them. As for the storage rings, all kinds of treasures, immortal artifacts, and immortal currencies that dropped from the corpses, Baishir collected them. They were also a great fortune that could skyrocket the value of White Phoenix sect. After doing all this, Xiaofan waved his hand and returned to the main altar of White Phoenix sect. The 100th generation, the 87th generation, followed closely behind. The 99th generation held on to the captured Feng Huanzi and followed at the back. Soon, the smoke-filled White Phoenix City regained its tranquility. This tranquility gave off a terrifying feeling of the 9 hells. It was as still as water. There was also a terrifying atmosphere that enveloped White Phoenix City, causing the immortal senses of the onlookers to tremble. They didn't dare to pry too much into White Phoenix City. After a long time, this is a one-sided massacre. However, it's not the Tianyi Palace that slaughtered the White Phoenix sect, but a counterattack. This is an unpredictable counterattack. I'm afraid even the high-level immortal emperors can't predict such an outcome. Everyone, calm down and think about it. Feng Huanzi is a level 10 true immortal, but he was captured alive in a single move. He didn't even have the ability to resist. Moreover, he has a super celestial artifact, the Golden Spear. This is too strange. To be able to capture Feng Huanzi alive like this, he can only be an immortal emperor. Enough. Stop talking. In short, this time, the Tianyi Palace may really be in big trouble. The structure of the immortal realm may also be broken. Yes, don't talk about it. Now that the situation has developed to this point, it's no longer something we can meddle in. Retreat quickly and don't spy on White Phoenix sect anymore, or we'll get into trouble. Those guest officials of White Phoenix sect are not kind people. Everyone, don't go and observe the situation in White Phoenix City. They kill without blinking, and they may do us harm. Soon, more than half of the celestial awareness that shrouded White Phoenix City faded. Then, almost all of them retreated. In the White Phoenix sect. In the assembly hall. Bai Fengzi and the others looked at Xiaofan, who was high up in the air, with reverence in their eyes. The battle just now was as simple as crushing an egg. The elite troops sent by the Tianyi Palace were unbelievably weak. At this moment, Feng Huanzi, a level 10 true immortal, became a prisoner, kneeling on the ground. The celestial power in his body had been sealed by 99 lives. Now, Feng Huanzi was no different from an ordinary immortal. Feng Huanzi looked at Xiaofan in horror. You, who on earth are you, slap. Before he could finish speaking, 99 lives swung his arm and slapped Feng Huanzi in the face, making him spit out blood and fall to the ground. Idiot, behave yourself when you're talking to my master. 99 lives said coldly. To be continued. Chapter 7:18. All right, don't kill this guy. Keep him alive. He's still of some use. Xiaofan waved his hand to stop the 99th generation from beating Feng Huanzi. Yes, master. The 99th generation calmed down. Bai Fengzi and the others were all frightened. They didn't expect that a level 10 true immortal would be slapped so casually. Hee. You were very impulsive just now, weren't you? Very arrogant. Xiaofan looked at Feng Huanzi, who was kneeling on the ground with a swollen face. Now, Feng Huanzi finally understood the situation. He knew that the guy in front of him seemed to be a level 2 true immortal, but the power he controlled was absolutely terrifying. Just now, the one who easily captured me, must be an immortal emperor. The more Feng Huanzi thought about it, the more terrified he became. Finally, Feng Huanzi's pride and the sense of superiority he had cultivated for a long time disappeared. I was wrong. Everyone, Feng Huanzi, know I was wrong. I messed with someone I shouldn't have messed with. I was only ordered to come here. I don't have any grudges against the White Phoenix sect. How about this? I'm willing to pay with my life's wealth. I can send a message back and ask the sect to redeem me. Don't worry, the Tianyi Palace has a lot of resources. As long as you let me go, you will receive unimaginable compensation. I'm a level 10 true immortal. I'm not far from the immortal emperor, but it's not easy either. I don't want to die here. Let me go. Slap. There was a crisp sound. Another crisp slap landed on Feng Huanzi's face. He was sent flying. This time, it was Xiaofan who slapped him. Don't mention the Tianyi Palace in front of me. Do you understand? Xiaofan said coldly. This. Feng Huanzi looked at Xiaofan's sharp eyes, which seemed to be able to see through his heart. His entire person completely collapsed. You, what on earth do you want? He was in tears. Xiaofan muttered to himself for a moment, then turned his gaze to the 100th era, the 99th era, and the 87th era. Master, I can take this guy to the First Heaven Society and ask them to exchange a map of the immortal realm for the hostage. Baisher said to Xiaofan through soul voice transmission. Master. Don't worry, I can stay in this guy's body. Even the sect master of the Tianyi Palace would not be able to detect the broadsword intent he had left behind. Then, with a thought, this fellow's body will explode and he will die. Ha 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 ha. Xiaofan nodded slightly and knocked on the table. He stared at Feng Huanzi silently. Every time Xiaofan knocked on the table, it was as if he was knocking on the spot between Feng Bengle's heartbeats. Moreover, Feng Huanzi had completely given in. After being slapped a few times in a row, the last bit of dignity he had was destroyed. All the immortal energy in his body had been blocked, and he was no different from a cripple. As a core disciple of the Tianyi Palace, he was now lying on the ground like a tiny worm, shivering. Xiaofan didn't speak, and no one dared to speak. The silent scene made Feng Huanzi completely depressed. He was about to go crazy at any time. Feng Huanzi wanted to say something, but he couldn't. He could only make strange monosyllables from his throat. Alright, Feng Huanzi, right? Now that your immortal energy has been sealed, even an ordinary disciple of the White Phoenix sect can kill you, Xiaofan finally said. Feng Huanzi looked at Xiaofan in horror. Don't doubt me. I dare to kill you. Xiaohan's eyes were fixed on him. I have killed many disciples of the Tianyi Palace. It doesn't matter if you kill one more. Do you know that? If you think that you can scare me with the name of the Tianyi Palace, then I can only say that you are too naive. Ha 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 ha. Baisher, the 99th, and the 87th all laughed wildly, looking very evil. Master, why don't we cut off this guy's hands and feet first? The 99th licked his lips. No. Finally, Feng Huanzi roared in a hoarse voice. Don't kill me. Young master, I beg you, let me go. Don't kill me. As he howled, he kept knocking his head on the ground. Now. Xiaofan said calmly. I will give you two choices. 1. Submit to me and become my slave. You will be at my mercy for the rest of your life. The other choice, die. There is no third choice, understand? Xiaofan announced Feng Huanzi's future. Xiaohan's voice was not overbearing, nor was it loud, but it had the air of a king, the majesty of a king descending to the world and commanding all living beings. I. Feng Huanzi choked with sobs. Submit or die, Xiaofan repeated again. I will give you 3 breaths. After 3 breaths, if you choose to die, I will fulfill your wish immediately. As he spoke, Xiaofan tilted his head and said to Baisher. Do it in 3 breaths. Yes, master. I am best at killing immortals. Baisher smiled cruelly. No. I won't die. I choose to submit. I don't want everything to turn into a dream. I submit. I submit. Finally, Feng Huanzi's voice was filled with tears. Submit? Xiaofan sneered, all right, release your divine soul and let me release a ray of light of salvation into your divine soul. This way, you will become my slave completely. Purify. This was a psychic ability that Xiaofan had mastered after cultivating the destructive technique of destroying skies and destroying earth. It could purify mortal martial artists. Xiaohan's soul and psychic energy were extremely powerful, but it was not enough to purify an immortal. Unless the immortal released his soul and allowed Xiaohan's psychic energy to shine in, he would not be able to do so. You want to control my soul. This. Feng Huanzi was terrified. Xiaofan smirked. You are unwilling? Fine, Baisher. I will kill you. I am willing. I am willing. I am willing to release my soul. Feng Huanzi screamed. Just like that. Feng Huanzi sat cross-legged and released his soul completely. Xiaofan formed the destructive technique of destroying skies and destroying earth and released a ray of psychic energy into Feng Huanzi's soul. Slowly refine it. Planting the belief to support oneself. This process was not as simple as refining mortals. It would take a long time. Bai Fengzi and the rest stared at Xiaofan in astonishment. The Tianyi Palace. The Heavenly Palace. Inside the palace, Patriarch Tianyi and a dozen mid-level immortals were still recuperating. He recovered his vitality. It would take some time for their energy and battle strength to recover to their peak condition. Then, they could enter the desolate area of the immortal world and capture Xiaofan and the others who were trapped. During the process of recuperation, they also talked and laughed with each other. Brother Tianyi, I reckon that your crusade army will not be able to defeat us. White Phoenix City has already been razed to the ground. That's right, after this battle. The power of the Tianyi Palace will be re-established in the immortal world. Its status will be like the sun at high noon, and no one will dare to offend it. It's already overkill for me to send a level 10 true immortal to deal with a small mid-level sect. Patriarch Tianyi was very confident. After we catch Xiaofan and get the treasures of the invincible blade, Brother Tianyi, your Tianyi Palace will undoubtedly become the most powerful force in the immortal world. And we will have a chance to become a high-level immortal emperor, the top of the pyramid. The headquarters of the White Phoenix sect. Xiaofan shone the psychic energy into Feng Huanzi's soul for 4 hours. Finally, he was successfully enlightened. Astonishingly, a perplexed look flashed across Feng Huanzi's eyes. When he regained his senses, he directly kowtowed towards Xiaofan and said, Master. At this point, Feng Huanzi had become Xiaofan's slave, just like Yen Lang. His loyalty was no different from that of the creatures from the alternate space. Mind control. Hiss. Bai Fengzi and the others gasped in shock. They were so scared that they were about to collapse. A level 2 true immortal had made a level 10 true immortal a slave with some tricks. That was too terrifying. This kind of trick was unheard of in the immortal world. Now, Bai Fengzi and the others were completely convinced that Xiaofan's background was very, very powerful. It was almost certain that he had something to do with those high-level immortal emperors. Well, as a core disciple of the Tianyi Palace, Feng Huanzi must be very familiar with the internal situation of the Tianyi Palace. Feng Huanzi can provide us with some information on how to destroy the Tianyi Palace. Xiaofan nodded with satisfaction. Then, he stood up and took a few elixirs to replenish his psychic energy. Feng Huanzi, get up. Yes, Master. Feng Huanzi stood up. 99 generations unsealed Feng Huanzi's celestial energy and returned the golden spear to Feng Huanzi. Master, what should we do next? Feng Huanzi asked. Xiaofan rubbed his temples as he spoke. Now, 100 generations, 99 generations, and 87 generations, take Feng Huanzi as a hostage and bring him to the Tianyi Palace in exchange for the latest map of the immortal world. By the way, kill some disciples of the Tianyi Palace to establish our power. Kill people to establish our power in the Tianyi Palace. That was a terrifying idea. But Xiaofan did have the strength to do that. Yes, Master. 100 generations, 99 generations, 87 generations, and Feng Huanzi took the order at the same time. I guess the news that the people of the Tianyi Palace were killed and Feng Huanzi was captured alive must have spread to the Tianyi Palace. Now I want to see Grand Elder Tianyi's expression. Ha ha ha. Xiaofan laughed happily. The Tianyi Palace. The palace in heaven. Ah. Grand Elder. Bad news. Bad news. A group of elders of the Tianyi Palace rushed to the palace in the sky as if they had gone mad. They burst into tears as if they were mourning the death of their parents. Our people were slaughtered. Feng Huanzi was captured alive. Feng Huanzi, a level 10 genuine immortal, was captured alive. What? In the palace, Grand Elder Tianyi, who had been complacent, suddenly stood up when he heard the news. Then, howl. How could this be? The core disciple of the Tianyi palace was captured alive. How dare this? How dare this? This is a great humiliation. To be continued. Chapter 719. When the news that the Crusade troops had been annihilated and Feng Huanzi had been captured alive reached the Tianyi palace, it directly created a panic. Such panic had not appeared in the Tianyi palace for a long time. It should be noted that, with the First Heaven sect's background, apart from the few transcendental high-level immortal emperors, it was difficult for any force in the vast immortal world to shake the position of the First Heaven sect. But now, consecutive setbacks. Even the level 10 true immortal that was sent out was captured alive. In the Tianyi palace, a level 10 genuine immortal was not a low position. Second only to low-level immortal emperors. In other words, there were not many level 10 genuine immortals in the Tianyi palace. Ho! Who is it? Who is fighting against the Tianyi palace? A small white phoenix sect was insignificant in the immortal world, so how could they recruit such a guest elder? There must be a reason. Who was it? Who is it? Patriarch Tianyi roared crazily. He felt as if he had been slapped in the face. The next moment, overwhelmed with rage, Patriarch Tianyi spat out a mouthful of blood. It should be noted that Patriarch Tianyi had expended a lot of energy to forcefully use the void-absorbing celestial hand to take Xiaofan's realm. Now was the period of recuperation and recovery, so he absolutely could not be impatient. But this time, Feng Huanzi was captured alive, and all the immortals that Feng Huanzi brought with him were killed. This caused Patriarch Tianyi's qi and blood to flow in reverse. Not only did it slow down his recovery, but it also damaged his immortal body. Moreover, old ancestor Tianyi already had a premonition that it was a mysterious and terrifying power. They were targeting the Tianyi palace. Start some conspiracy. Who is it? Are you trying to mess up the foundation of the First Heaven sect? Patriarch Tianyi roared. Another mouthful of blood sprayed out. Brother Tianyi. Calm down. Calm down. The other celestial emperors hurriedly advised. Brother Tianyi, in this immortal world, we are the strongest faction. Even though there are some mid-level immortal emperors who are unwilling to ally with us, their factions are too scattered. They definitely won't be able to defeat us. You certainly can't bring down the Tianyi palace. You don't have to worry about it. As for those high-level immortal emperors, it's impossible for them to interfere in the secular world, let alone suppress the Tianyi sect. A red-faced immortal emperor said. At most, it's just some reclusive celestial emperors messing around. At most, they're mid-level celestial emperors with celestial force on par with us. However, it's nothing. Brother Tianyi, you have to stay calm. The main thing is that we have to capture Xiaofan and get the few supreme-grade fairy weapons of the invincible blade. Sweeping across the celestial world and proclaiming himself as an overlord. It's just a bunch of clowns. Why are you so nervous? After being consoled repeatedly, Patriarch Tianyi quickly calmed down. He coldly said to the elders outside the hall. To be able to capture the wind bracelet alive, he must be at the Immortal Emperor stage. Even if he's a low-level Immortal Emperor, with a decent quality Immortal artifact, it would be very troublesome. Right now, I'm recuperating and am unable to personally make an appearance. What plans do you have? The voices of a few elders could be heard from outside the hall. Patriarch, we have to rescue Wind Bracelet. First, Wind Bracelet is a pillar of the Tianyi sect, a genius who might become an Immortal Emperor. Second, now the whole immortal world knows that Wind Bracelet has been captured. If we don't set up defenses to rescue Wind Bracelet, it will be a great humiliation. Only by rescuing Wind Bracelet, killing the guest elders of the White Phoenix sect, and torturing them, can we turn the situation around. Humph. Patriarch Tian snorted. Anyway, I'll leave this matter to you. You must deal with it properly. Now, I have to seize the time to recuperate in seclusion and recover as soon as possible. Only then can I enter the barren area to capture Xiaofan. This is the most important thing. Remember, save Wind Bracelet and destroy the White Phoenix sect. Yes, Patriarch, please rest assured and recuperate in seclusion. We'll definitely deal with this matter perfectly. The elders outside finally retreated. In the Tianyi sect, in addition to the middle-level immortal emperors like Patriarch Tian, there were also several low-level immortal emperors among the elders. Moreover, outside the Tianyi sect, there were also some low-level immortal emperors who surrendered to the Tianyi sect. In this way, although the Tianyi sect could not mobilize middle-level immortal emperors for the time being, they could mobilize several low-level immortal emperors at once. As the elders left the heavenly palace, they began to discuss fiercely, now that things have come to this, we have to do it ourselves. Before, our judgment has been wrong again and again. We thought that sending Wind Bracelet, a level 10 genuine immortal, would be more than enough. Now it seems, we need at least low-level immortal emperors to defeat those rebels. Good. However, we can't be impatient. We have to think about it carefully. This time, we can't make any mistakes. Plan before we act. Let's gather some low-level immortal emperors who have surrendered to the Tianyi sect from all over the immortal world to discuss this matter together. Yes. If we can gather 10 low-level immortal emperors, we can definitely raise White Phoenix City to the ground. In the end, these elders agreed to gather at least 10 low-level immortal emperors before they would attack White Phoenix City again. Now, among the many low-level immortal emperors of the Tianyi sect, some were wandering outside, and some were in closed-door cultivation all year round to break through to the next realm. Now, there were only about 6 low-level immortal emperors that could be mobilized. Soon, these elders issued an announcement to all the forces in the immortal world that had surrendered to the Tianyi sect, inviting low-level immortal emperors to save the situation. The Tianyi sect deserved to be the #1 sect in the immortal world. As soon as the announcement was made, several low-level immortal emperors came. There were 5 low-level immortal emperors in total, all of whom were overlords of the immortal world. They were sect leaders of some high-level sects. Now, in the meeting hall of the Tianyi sect, there were a total of 11 low-level immortal emperors. Discussing countermeasures, today, on behalf of the Patriarch, I thank you for your help. A well-respected elder of the Tianyi sect, who was also a low-level immortal emperor, stood up and said, "Ha ha ha. It doesn't matter. We have always been allies with the Tianyi sect. Now, the Tianyi sect wants to eradicate the White Phoenix sect, so we are a little short of manpower. Of course, we are duty-bound to help," those low-level immortal emperors who came to help said. They also modestly declined. One of them, a low-level immortal emperor with a fair face. But he said cautiously, "We also know a little about the guest elder of the White Phoenix sect. It is said that Feng Huanzi was captured by him in one move. In this case, it will be a little difficult to deal with these guys. We have to make a good plan. We can't be reckless. Okay. Let's make a plan." In the White Phoenix sect. In the 99th generation. In the 87th generation, he was about to leave the White Phoenix sect with Feng Huanzi and fly to the area where the Tianyi sect was located. Feng Huanzi's celestial force had been sealed, and he pretended to be in a state of being suppressed. "This time, I will guard the White Phoenix sect and won't go to the Tianyi sect with you," Xiaofan said with a smile. Xiaofan didn't have to worry about anything. In the 99th generation, the 87th generation. Entering the Tianyi sect was like entering a tiger's den. However, with the combat capability of middle-level immortal emperors, it should not be a problem for them to escape unscathed. Besides, Xiaofan didn't ask Baisher and the others to destroy the Tianyi sect. He only asked them to exchange the map and kill a few elites of the Tianyi sect to establish their prestige. And, with Feng Huanzi as a mole, it was simply foolproof. Master, don't worry. We will definitely bring back the latest map of the immortal world and kill a few people in the territory of the Tianyi sect. We will create a bloody case and make the Tianyi sect lose its reputation. Baisher said calmly. It should be noted that he had followed Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao and fought in the world. What kind of storm had he not seen? Now, it was just a normal thing to deal with the Tianyi sect. Swish. 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 Soon, Baisher, the 99th generation, the 87th generation, and Feng Huanzi disappeared from the territory of the White Phoenix City. Young Master, now we. Bai Fengzi and the others asked submissively. Now, everyone in the White Phoenix sect regarded Xiaofan as a heavenly god. Deep down, they were trembling and submissive. Ha! You are worried that after my followers go to the Tianyi sect, no one will protect the White Phoenix City, right? But it's okay. It's reasonable to have such a thought, Xiaofan said with a smile and nodded. This. Bai Fengzi swallowed hard. She was stunned for a moment and didn't have time to say anything. The next moment. Boom. 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 In Xiaohan's sea of consciousness, a brilliant light burst out and shrouded him. Master. 3 skinny, indifferent men suddenly appeared in front of Xiaofan and knelt down on one knee. The 98th generation. The 97th generation. The 96th generation. The Emperor-level aura, which was as deep as the sea, flashed and then disappeared, turning into the aura of a level 5 genuine immortal. However, their eyes made people feel as if they were looking at an abyss of horror. Ah! Another 3. The people of the White Phoenix sect were so shocked that they knelt down. They began to shake like a sieve. In an instant, Bai Fengzi and the others felt that the 3 men, who were like heavenly gods descending from the heavens, had an aura that was not inferior to Baisher's. They must also be celestial emperors. At this point, the mysterious child in front of them had already summoned 6 celestial emperors as followers. This method was too terrifying. He had used his trump cards one after another, and it seemed that no one knew how many trump cards he had. The 3 of you, protect White Phoenix City, Xiaofan ordered indifferently. Yes, Master. Xiaofan had left 50 level 7 creatures from the alternate dimension in the barren area to protect his plane, but he had also brought another 50 level 7 creatures with him. Now, only 6 of them had been exposed, and there were still 44 left. They were all mid-level celestial emperors. His trump cards were indeed terrifying. There was no doubt that he would defeat the First Heaven sect. However, Xiaofan wouldn't destroy the First Heaven sect right away. He wanted to simmer it down. Bai Fengzi, make an announcement to all the major sects in the celestial world. Any immortal who has been oppressed by the First Heaven sect can seek refuge in the White Phoenix sect, Xiaofan ordered. Yes, child. The more powerful Xiaofan was, the more confident Bai Fengzi was. At this moment, the 100th generation, the 99th generation, and the 87th generation flew to the First Heaven sect with the wind bracelets. Countless people in the celestial world were watching. Moreover, many immortals also understood what was going on. Hiss. Hostages. The guest elders of the White Phoenix sect are going to the First Heaven sect with the wind bracelets. They are going to use the wind bracelets as a bargaining chip to negotiate with the First Heaven sect. I'm afraid they are going to ask for something. Unbelievable. They are going to extort us. In the entire celestial world, even some experienced middle-level celestial emperors dare not use hostages to ask for something from the First Heaven sect. That's horrible. This was simply a subversive thing. It's rare. Is the structure of the celestial world going to be broken from now on? I don't know what the First Heaven sect will do. Maybe the First Heaven sect will suffer a setback. Look, the wind bracelet's celestial power has been sealed, and they can do whatever they want. If the wind bracelets die, it will be a serious blow to the First Heaven sect. The whole celestial world began to shake. Phone bracelets now use the special communication method of the First Heaven sect to send a message in advance. Let the elders of the First Heaven sect exchange you with the latest map of the celestial world, Bai Fengzi said coldly. Okay, I understand. Phone bracelets took out a jade communication token from his storage ring. We can choose the Windward Canyon, which is 1,000 miles away from the First Heaven sect. In this way, we can avoid being ambushed if we go too deep into the First Heaven sect. That's also troublesome. It's best if we can lure the snake out of its hole. After becoming Xiaofan's slave, phone bracelets had completely betrayed the First Heaven sect, and subconsciously regarded the First Heaven sect as an enemy. To be continued. Chapter 720. At this time, Bai Shi, the 99th, and the 87th generations, with great fanfare, were rushing to the headquarters of the First Heaven sect with Feng Huanzi, the prisoner. Along the way, they attracted the attention of many people. Countless immortals, including some reclusive celestial emperors, were looking at them. However, no one was willing to interfere in this matter. Vaguely, many immortals in the celestial world had a premonition that the First Heaven sect, which had been unshakable for many years, would soon face the most terrifying challenge. Moreover, the most subtle point was that the situation had developed to an extremely unfavorable situation for the First Heaven sect. However, it seemed that the sect leader of the First Heaven sect, the patriarch of the First Heaven sect, did not show any signs of personally handling the matter. This was worth pondering. At this time, according to the original plan, Feng Huanzi directly took out a Jade Messenger token and used soul voice transmission to speak to Bai Shi and the others. Now, I'm going to send a message to ask for help from the First Heaven sect. I'll do as Master asked and propose an exchange. Then, I'll lure the people of the First Heaven sect to the Windward Canyon. Bai Shi and the others all nodded. Immediately after, Feng Huanzi pretended to be weak, hurried, and terrified as he sent out a message to the communication token. On the other hand, in the First Heaven sect, the 6 low-level celestial emperors of the First Heaven sect, as well as the 5 low-level celestial emperors who had come from outside to help, were in full swing discussing how to rescue Feng Huanzi. Everyone, the best way now is to lure the guest elders of the White Phoenix sect here. If we can trick them into coming to the First Heaven sect, we'll be able to catch a turtle in a jar. I'm sure they won't be able to return. Yes, it's best if we can lure them here. It's foolproof. It's better than our long journey. A long journey. However, they're not fools. How can they give up their advantage and send themselves into the tiger's den? How can we lure these guys into the trap? These low-level celestial emperors all racked their brains to think. It's very difficult. After a while, they all shook their heads. Why don't we take the initiative to send out a message and exchange hostages with them? We can promise those guest elders of the White Phoenix sect something that they can't refuse. For example, we'll give them a large number of supreme-grade fairy artifacts and elixirs, and we'll even recognize their status in the immortal realm and divide their territory. In short, they can demand as much as they want, and we'll just pretend to agree to their demands while setting up layers of ambushes. When they enter the territory of the Tianyi Palace. Humph. We have 11 low-level immortal emperors and a large number of level 10 true immortals. Level 9 true immortals attack together. In an instant, they'll be annihilated. This plan is perfect. But I'm afraid they won't fall for it. The only way is to make as many promises as possible so that they can't refuse. I believe that they will weigh the pros and cons. Killing Feng Huanzi will not benefit them at all. It's still very difficult to get them to come to us on their own initiative. Why don't we compromise? Compromise? How should we compromise? Lure them to a place not far from the Tianyi Palace. It was very difficult to get them to come to the Tianyi Palace, but he had to settle for the next best thing. The closer they were to the Tianyi Palace, the better. I think as long as we don't exchange hostages within the Tianyi Palace, they may also accept it. Yes. Make a request to them and lure them to a place not far from the Tianyi Palace. We'll set up an ambush in advance and catch them all in one fell swoop. At this point, these low-level immortal emperors finally had some ideas. By the way, not far from the headquarters of the Tianyi Palace, there is a canyon called Windward Canyon. The terrain of this canyon is dangerous, and there are some naturally formed illusory labyrinths in it. There are also disciples of the Tianyi Palace secretly stationed there. It's a portal and a secret stronghold of the Tianyi Palace. If we can lure the foreign elders of the White Phoenix sect to the Windward Canyon, they will definitely die. Yes, the Windward Canyon is a good place to kill people. Even low-level immortal emperors may get lost when they enter the naturally formed illusory labyrinths for the first time. Moreover, our grand ancestor has attached great importance to the Windward Canyon in recent years. He has even personally set up some illusory formations in the Windward Canyon. Good. That's a good idea. So, we should find a way to send a message to White Phoenix City now. First, we should confirm whether Feng Huanzi is still alive. Then, we should try to be as gentle and humble as possible. We should deceive them and make them think that the Tianyi Palace doesn't want to bother them anymore. Then, we can promise them a large ransom so that they can't refuse. Finally, we can lure them to the Windward Canyon. Finally, these low-level immortal emperors had reached an agreement. However, at this moment, Buzz, an elder of the Tianyi Palace, made a trembling sound in his arms. This elder was Feng Huanzi's master. Feng Huanzi was his favorite disciple, the chief disciple under his command. He and Feng Huanzi had established a close relationship as if they were father and son. Wait. The elder's face palpitated and trembled. He took out a jade messaging token from his arms. He scanned it with his celestial awareness. It was a message from Feng Huanzi. Everyone, don't talk. Hold your breath. Feng Huanzi has sent a message back. The elder couldn't help but say. Then, from the communication token came Feng Huanzi's terrified and helpless voice, as well as his weak wails, Master. Master. I've been captured by the enemy. It's so painful. Now, those foreign officials of the White Phoenix sect are going to kill me. Master, you must save this disciple's life. At this moment, Feng Huanzi's voice was filled with a desperate sobbing tone, which was extremely vivid. Feng Huanzi. Don't be afraid. I'll save you. The elder roared. What's going on now? Tell those foreign officials of the White Phoenix sect that we, the Tianyi Palace, are willing to redeem you at all costs. What do they want? Tell them to make their demands. As long as you can come back alive, the Tianyi Palace can give them everything they want. Master, those foreign officials of the White Phoenix sect. They did make a demand. They want the Tianyi Palace to use its wealth to redeem me. They want the latest map of the Immortal Realm and 5 billion celestial coins. And 5 billion celeste. Feng Huanzi screamed. 5 billion celestial coins. It should be noted that a medium-sized sect in the Immortal Realm like the White Phoenix sect, which controlled the income of a teleportation formation, only had about 1 billion celestial coins. This amount of 5 billion celestial coins was enough to bankrupt an ordinary sect in the Immortal Realm. However, for a giant like the Tianyi Palace, 5 billion celestial coins was equivalent to a year's profit. It was not a big deal. It was not a big deal. Master, you have to save me. I don't want to die. I have a chance to become an immortal emperor in my lifetime. Feng Huanzi yelled. Calm down. Feng Huanzi. The latest map of the Immortal Realm and 5 billion celestial coins. The Tianyi Palace can afford it. We can satisfy them. Tell them this at once. Then, tell the elders of the White Phoenix sect to come to the Windy Canyon and we'll make the deal. The elder blinked his eyes as he spoke. The low-level immortal emperors around were all very nervous. Now, they had set the bait and were waiting for the big fish to take the bait. Soon. Bai Shi's cold and arrogant voice came from the other side of the communication token. The Windy Canyon? Yes. The elder shouted immediately. You are the foreign elder of the White Phoenix sect, right? Fine, for the sake of Feng Huanzi's life, the Tianyi Palace is willing to pay the price. Moreover, the purpose of the Tianyi Palace is to make peace. It is better to squash enmity than keep it alive. The Tianyi Palace really doesn't want to be entangled with you anymore. So, we agree to your conditions. I hope you won't hurt Feng Huanzi. As for the Windy Canyon, it is not within the sphere of influence of the Tianyi Palace. It is a neutral area. We will make the deal in the neutral area. If you go to the Tianyi Palace to make the deal, you must have some scruples. So, let's all take a step back. We will make the deal in the neutral area, the Windy Canyon. This is fair to everyone. Don't worry, for the Tianyi Palace, the value of Feng Huanzi is far greater than a map and 5 billion celestial coins. We won't play any tricks. If anything goes wrong, we will lose the big picture because of a small gain. Oh? Bai Shi pretended to be thinking. He fell silent, as if he was frowning and thinking. The low-level immortal emperors of the Tianyi Palace all held their breath, for fear that Bai Shi would refuse. If they refused and asked them to go to White Phoenix City to make the deal, they would be in a passive position. After dozens of breaths, good. Let's make the deal in the Windy Canyon. I hope you won't play any tricks, otherwise, Feng Huanzi will definitely die. In 3 days, we will make the deal in the Windy Canyon. Bai Shi said coldly. Good. Deal. The elder of the Tianyi Palace let out a long sigh of relief. The call ended. Good. Our plan is almost successful. The Windy Canyon will be our home field. Now, let's start to make arrangements immediately. Set up more ambushes in the Windy Canyon. Use the illusion of the maze hanging in the Windy Canyon to ambush us. The elder of the Tianyi Palace immediately gave the order, and then, ha 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 ha. Suddenly, the elder burst into laughter. In addition, we will also divide into 2 groups. We have 11 low-level immortal emperors. 6 of them will lead a large number of level 10 and level 9 true immortals into the Windy Canyon to deal with the foreign officials of the White Phoenix sect and rescue Feng Huanzi. The remaining 5 will lead the elites into White Phoenix City quietly and destroy the foundation of White Phoenix City. Raze it to the ground. Hearing that, ha ha ha. Brilliant. Brilliant. The people of White Phoenix City will bring Feng Huanzi to the Windy Canyon to make the deal with us. They must have sent out all their elites. In this case, the rear will be empty, and we will directly attack the enemy and destroy White Phoenix City. Ha ha ha. There's no time to lose. Let's divide into 2 groups and take action immediately. This time, we will win a big victory. On the other side of Bai Shi and the others. Those idiots, I can't believe they took the initiative to make the deal in the Windy Canyon. Bai Shi grinned hideously. The Windy Canyon. A strange smile also appeared at the corner of Feng Huanzi's mouth. When I was in the Tianyi Palace, I was in charge of the Windy Canyon. I know everything about the Windy Canyon like the back of my hand. I know the Windy Canyon better than those elders. To be continued. Chapter 721. Things went according to the plan of the low-level immortal emperors of the Tianyi Palace. They made a deal in the Windward Canyon. The Tianyi Palace exchanged the latest map of the Immortal Realm and 5 billion celestial coins for the hostage. Feng Bangle. At this time, the elders of the Tianyi Palace were deploying manpower. Ibdu. First of all, 5 low-level immortal emperors led 20 level, 10 genuine immortals and 40 level, 9 genuine immortals. They took a big detour and secretly headed for White Phoenix City. They were going to take advantage of the situation. Take advantage of the empty nest to take White Phoenix City. Raze it to the ground. On the other hand, the 6 low-level immortal emperors hurriedly deployed dozens of level 10 genuine immortals to the Windward Canyon and hid in some space formations. After everything was ready, the 6 low-level immortal emperors breathed a long sigh of relief, and their faces showed a ferocious expression. Good, good, now everything is completely under our control. In the Battle of the Windward Canyon, we will wash away our shame and wipe out all those arrogant foreign officials of the White Phoenix sect. Kill them all. Bai Shi, the 99th, the 87th, and Feng Bangle were unhurriedly heading for the Windward Canyon. Now, those bastards of the Tianyi Palace will definitely set up a trap in the Windward Canyon and wait for us. Bai Shi's eyes were full of arrogance. He didn't know that Patriarch Tianyi and the other middle-level immortal emperors were now injured and couldn't come. The Tianyi Palace could only send low-level immortal emperors. Moreover, the people of the Tianyi Palace had no idea that Bai Shi and the others were middle-level immortal emperors. Bai Shi himself calculated that the Tianyi Palace might send middle-level immortal emperors. Therefore, he couldn't let his guard down completely. Bai Shi looked at Feng Bangle inquiringly. Feng Bangle. You used to be in charge of the Windward Canyon, so you know the situation inside very well. Now, tell us the specific situation and don't leave anything out. Okay. Feng Bangle nodded matter-of-factly. Then, Feng Bangle closed his eyes slightly. His expression showed that he was deep in thought. The 99th also said. This time, the task given to us by our master is to get the latest map of the immortal realm, and then take the opportunity to kill a few elites of the Tianyi Palace to discourage them again. Master told us not to fight. To destroy the Tianyi Palace, they had to do it bit by bit, nibbling away at it gradually. They hoped that everyone would not act rashly. When the Tianyi sect is almost completely annihilated by us, Master will personally lead the troops to attack the headquarters of the Tianyi sect. That's what I'm happy about. Bai Shi and the others nodded in agreement. At this moment, Feng Huanzi finally spoke. Alright, everyone, I've gathered all the information about the people in Windward Canyon, as well as the locations of some natural mazes, man-made mazes, and several spatial formations that can hide immortals in a single divine sense. Now, I'll input this divine sense into your brain so that you can directly grasp the detailed situation in Windward Canyon. Humph. I've been in the Windward Canyon for many years. In the entire Tianyi Palace, I'm the one who knows the Windward Canyon the best. No one can compare to me. After saying that, Feng Huanzi's eyes flickered continuously as he inserted balls of divine sense into the minds of the first reincarnation, the 99th reincarnation and the 87th reincarnation. Soon, oh. So that's how it is. It turns out that there are such formations. These places can hide people, and this place is the safest place. This place is the blind spot of the Windward Canyon surveillance. Bai Shi and the others all nodded. Good. Now we're almost 99% sure that we can get out of Windward Canyon with ease. And before we leave, we can also destroy some of the most important formations in Windward Canyon. Good, very good. Bai Shi laughed heartily. In White Phoenix City. In the headquarters of the White Phoenix sect. Xiaofan sat casually in a study, flipping through some books about the immortal world. The 98th reincarnation, the 97th reincarnation, and the 96th reincarnation were serving him obediently. These books record many strange things about the immortal world. It's also very interesting to read, Xiaofan said with a smile. By now, the battle between Xiaofan and the Tianyi Palace had reached a peak. However, Xiaofan's temperament had become more and more stable, with a sense of calmness. Master, now the fluctuation of your soul is really getting more and more harmonious with the immortal world. Your entire aura is about to merge into the space of the immortal world. In fact, Master, your accumulation is completely enough. However, to become an immortal in the immortal world, mortals must be incomparably integrated with the immortal world. However, Master, the day of you becoming an immortal is getting closer and closer. Once you become an immortal, you can directly open the last layer of the treasure of the old master of the invincible saber and obtain endless treasures and the final inheritance of the way of the broadsword, Baishir said with a smile. Well, I also hope that day will come as soon as possible, Xiaofan said with a nod. However, the urgent matter at hand is to get the latest map of the immortal world as soon as possible, accurately find the location of the Red Crane Canyon, and obtain special plants from the immortal world to help my sect master and the others restore their cultivation and become immortals in one step. After a pause, Xiaofan put down the scroll in his hand. Baishir and the others have been gone for several days. According to the journey, they will soon be close to the headquarters of the Tianyi Palace. I believe that they can successfully complete this task. With that, Xiaofan stretched his body and walked out leisurely. Outside, the sun was shining brightly, and colorful butterflies were flying. At this time, Bai Fengzi also hurried over to report something to Xiaofan. Young Master, Bai Fengzi walked over and bowed respectfully. Reporting to Young Master, according to your instructions, we have announced to the whole immortal world that we are willing to accept those sects and rogue cultivators who have been suppressed by the Tianyi Palace. We will let them come to us and fight against the Tianyi Palace together. How is it? Xiaofan said with a smile. Well, so far, only 3 sects have come to us. In addition, only a few thousand idle immortals have come to us, mainly perfected immortals below level 5. However, more than half of the immortals who originally lived in our White Phoenix sect have returned, Bai Fengzi reported seriously. Not bad. Xiaofan nodded. Take it slow. I believe that when Baishir and the others once again dampen the prestige of the Tianyi Palace, the status of the Tianyi Palace will be seriously shaken. It will be seriously shaken. At that time, all the sects in the immortal world who are dissatisfied with the Tianyi Palace may come to us. That is how we will gradually destroy the foundation of the Tianyi Palace. Young Master, you are wise. Bai Fengzi said sincerely. Behind Xiaofan, Generation 98's eyes were filled with the most violent fighting spirit. What a pity, Master. If I could go to the Tianyi Palace with Brother Baishir and the others, would definitely kill a few immortal emperors of the Tianyi Palace for Master. Ha ha ha. Xiaofan laughed and shook his head. There is no hurry. There are plenty of opportunities. However, at this moment, Generation 97's eyes suddenly narrowed, and the corners of his mouth pulled into a hideous smile. Master, something happened. Oh. Xiaofan touched his nose slightly. I released my celestial senses and found that not far away, there are a few immortal emperors leading a group of level 10 perfected immortals. Level 9 perfected immortals are heading toward the White Phoenix sect. They are very fast. They seem to be using some kind of speed-type magic treasure. They will arrive at White Phoenix City soon. Is that so? Xiaofan was slightly taken aback. Then, he also spread out his soul psy-wave. Soon, Xiaofan nodded repeatedly. Yes, they are coming aggressively. They even deliberately hid their aura, but they can't hide it from us. It seems, after a pause, Xiaofan laughed heartily. It must be the people of the Tianyi Palace. Ha 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 ha. I know. The Tianyi Palace must be trying to take drastic measures. They think that my people brought the wind bracelets to trade with them, leaving White Phoenix City empty. That's why they attacked. Ha 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 ha. Good. They seem to be a few low-level immortal emperors. Xiaohan's eyes flashed with fierce killing intent. There are not many low-level immortal emperors in the Tianyi Palace. I don't know why the Tianyi Palace still hasn't sent any mid-level immortal emperors here. According to the information I have, Patriarch Tianyi is a mid-level immortal emperor. Some of his friends are also mid-level immortal emperors. Could it be that they suffered some losses when they forcibly took my plane from the mortal world to the immortal world? Forget it, let's not worry about that for now. After a pause, Xiaofan's voice became fierce and domineering. Listen up, the Tianyi Palace sent a few low-level immortal emperors to us. Kill them all. Humph. The Tianyi Palace might be able to withstand the killing of level 10 genuine immortals, but if they lose a few low-level immortal emperors, I think the foundation of the Tianyi Palace will be in danger. This time, the Tianyi Palace has made a mistake. Yes. Master. The 98th, 97th, and 96th roared in unison in response. Their eyes were filled with terrifying murderous intent. Bai Fengzi and the others fainted again when they heard Xiaofan was going to order his men to kill the immortal emperors. Immortal emperors. Even the lowest level immortal emperors were immortal emperors. Among the countless genuine immortals in the immortal world, immortal emperors were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. In the immortal world, the death of every immortal emperor was a nightmare. The Tianyi Palace. In the Heavenly Palace. Patriarch Tianyi and the other middle-level immortal emperors were completely wrapped in auspicious clouds of immortal qi. They were all resting with their eyes closed. Brother Tianyi, how's the battle against the White Phoenix sect going? A middle-level immortal emperor with a goatee asked. Patriarch Tianyi pondered for a moment, then said with a relaxed frown. The elders of the First Heaven sect have already gathered 11 low-level celestial emperors to kill the White Phoenix sect after a thorough plan. 11 low-level immortal emperors? The eyes of some middle-level immortal emperors lit up. That's almost a sure win. Even if the White Phoenix sect has 1 and 2 medium-level immortal emperors among their foreign officials, they won't be able to withstand the combined attack of 11 low-level immortal emperors and a large number of high-level genuine immortals. Alright. Brother Tianyi, there's no doubt that the White Phoenix sect will be destroyed. Now, let's cultivate in seclusion. Don't be distracted by external forces. The sooner we recover to our peak condition, the sooner we can come out of seclusion to capture Xiaofan. Alright, let's cultivate in seclusion. Patriarch Tianyi waved his hand. Suddenly, the entire heavenly palace turned completely dark. In the Windward Canyon. 6 low-level immortal emperors had arrived at the Windward Canyon with a large group of high-level genuine immortals. Everyone, set up an ambush. The leading elder roared in a low voice as he gave the order. Yes, elder. The large group of high-level genuine immortals answered in unison. The next moment, whoosh whoosh whoosh, countless high-level genuine immortals scattered and disappeared like ripples. They hid in some of the spatial formations inside the Windward Canyon. They set up an ambush, waiting for the moment to strike. Now, we just have to wait for the people of the White Phoenix sect to walk into the trap. The elders of the Tianyi Palace looked gloomy. I'd like to see who exactly these foreign officials of the White Phoenix sect are. To be continued. Chapter 722. Windward Canyon. The two sides of the Windward Canyon were steep mountain walls. The peaks of the mountains were completely covered by immortal clouds, and one could vaguely see some sturdy fortifications. Ibdu. Some level 7 and level 8 true immortals of the Tianyi Palace were stationed at the top of the mountain. Between the two mountain walls was a surging river. The sound of the surging river was like the charge of a magnificent army. At this moment, 4 elders of the Tianyi Palace were already floating in the air outside the Windward Canyon, standing with their hands behind their backs. As for the other 2 low-level immortal emperors, they were hidden in a secret spatial array within the canyon. The 4 elders and low-level perfected immortals all released their immortal senses to probe. He hasn't arrived yet, one of the elders said with a frown. Looks like those guys are still on their way. There's no hurry, another elder said. The later they arrive, the better, so that we have enough time to prepare. Right now, our people are already in position to ambush them. With a single command, countless high-level perfected immortals will attack with their magic treasures. In addition to the full attack of our 6 low-level immortal emperors, even if the opponent is a mid-level immortal emperor, he might still die with a grievance. Of course, the prerequisite is that we don't expose our murderous intent too early. We have to feign civility, and when necessary, we don't hesitate to lower our statuses and put on a pleasant expression to dispel their wariness. Alright, let's wait. I believe those traitors will arrive soon. On the other hand, the 100th generation, the 99th generation, and the 87th generation, with the wind bracelets, were approaching the windward canyon. Hong, 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 100 lives, 99 lives, 87 lives. Their immortal senses. It was released ahead of time. You should know. The energy of these 3 level 7 creatures from the alternate space was definitely equivalent to that of a medium-level immortal emperor. Therefore, the coverage of their spiritual senses and the sensitivity of their spiritual senses were definitely superior to those of the elders of the First Heaven Palace. Therefore, those low-level immortal emperor elders of the First Heaven sect had not discovered Bai Shi and the others. He was able to clearly understand the situation on the other side. Very soon, the expressions of the 100th generation, the 99th generation, and the 87th generation all became extremely strange. Then, ha 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 this? Ha 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 ha, the 3 of them roared with laughter. You 3, what are you doing? Feng Huanzi asked curiously. Windward Canyon is indeed full of traps. Bai Shi stopped laughing with a strange expression on his face. My immortal sense has swept over, but I actually didn't discover any mid-tier immortal emperor aura. Ha 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 ha, that's right, on the surface, there are 4 low-level immortal emperors waiting for us outside the canyon. Inside the canyon, there were all kinds of spatial formations that could hide people and horses. We also found 2 low-level celestial emperors in the man-made traps in the nature maze. The rest are all perfected immortals. There aren't many level 10 perfected immortals. World 87 immediately said. Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. I was wondering what kind of people the First Heaven sect would send to deal with us. But in the end, they're still so petty. Ha ha ha, they didn't even send a middle-grade celestial emperor and only want to rely on a few low-grade celestial emperors. Ha ha ha. Idiots. Feng Huanzi, the First Heaven sect is considered the most powerful sect in the immortal world. I didn't expect that they wouldn't even send a middle-grade celestial emperor. What a joke. If Master wants to destroy the Tianyi society, it will be a piece of cake. Bai Shi sneered. Feng Huanzi thought for a moment and said. The sect leader of the First Heaven sect, Patriarch Tianyi, is a middle-grade celestial emperor. Moreover, he has made friends with more than a dozen middle-grade celestial emperors. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be a problem to send a middle-grade celestial emperor. Oh right, he should still be recuperating in seclusion. Alright. Bai Shi waved his hand. Now, we need to do some calculations. Since there aren't any middle-grade celestial emperors, just 6 low-level celestial emperors won't be able to stop us. However, we need to try our best to kill all the people of the First Heaven sect in the Windward Canyon and deal them a heavy blow. Therefore, we need to cooperate with each other and put on a good show. Not a single one of them can escape. Kill them all. Yes, we need to plan carefully. It won't be a problem to defeat them. We're just afraid that they will escape. For example, the 2 hidden low-level celestial emperors should also have top-grade celestial treasures. If we really fight and they see that something is wrong, they will immediately escape. I'm afraid we won't be able to do anything, Bai Shi 87 nodded. Yes, these level 7 creatures from the alternate dimension were equivalent to middle-grade celestial emperors in terms of cultivation realm and combat strength. However, they were at a disadvantage because they didn't have celestial treasures. Therefore, when facing low-level celestial emperors with various kinds of celestial treasures, they could defeat them by relying on their huge advantage in cultivation realm, but they couldn't crush them. Moreover, if there were two low-level celestial emperors with top-grade celestial artifacts besieging Baishur, it would take a lot of effort for Baishur to defeat them. They were at a disadvantage because they didn't have celestial artifacts or celestial treasures. They had to wait for Xiaofan to become an immortal and open the fourth layer of Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao's treasure to unlock those celestial treasures. Only then could they equip Baishur and the other creatures from the alternate dimension with weapons and armor. Of course, the Saber Dao that Baishur and the others had mastered was also a great addition to their attack power. Let's do it this way. When we trade later, don't be too rash and show the enemy that we're weak. Don't release all your energy as soon as the battle starts. Baishur ordered. It's best to form a stalemate with the 4 low-level celestial emperors outside. Then, we can summon the 2 hidden low-level celestial emperors and annihilate them in one fell swoop. Okay, don't let any of them escape. We'll make a perfect contribution for our master. Phew, then let's get ready. Feng Huanzi immediately pretended to be struggling in pain. His weak and powerless appearance was extremely realistic. Feng Huanzi, I left a strand of saber qi in your body to temporarily seal your celestial force. Later, I'll act according to the situation and get rid of this saber qi. Remember, you're not an celestial emperor. You won't be able to help at all in the upcoming battle. Just take care of yourself, Baishur ordered. As they talked, they moved forward. Soon, they reached the area where the celestial senses of the 4 low-level celestial emperors of the First Heaven sect could cover. I'll keep my cultivation level at the level of a low-level celestial emperor. 99 lives, 87 lives, suppress your energy to the level of a level 10 perfected immortal. Baishur turned around and said. Okay, brother Baishur. Soon. Baishur walked in front with the aura of a low-level celestial emperor. 99 lives and 87 lives were obviously level 10 perfected immortals. They walked behind Baishur, one on the left and the other on the right. Feng Huanzi was sandwiched between 99 lives and 87 lives. Those B** stars have found us, Baishur's eyes lit up. Outside the Windward Canyon. The 4 low-level celestial emperors of the First Heaven sect had indeed found Baishur and the others. They're here. The 4 low-level celestial emperors were all trembling. Finally, these pieces of trash from the White Phoenix sect are here. The 4 low-level celestial emperors covered the area with their celestial senses at the same time. Their celestial senses. All of them began to tremble. It should be noted that the First Heaven sect had been defeated by these foreign elders of the White Phoenix sect. The most frustrating thing for the First Heaven sect was that they still didn't know what the foreign elders of the White Phoenix sect looked like and what their cultivation level was. Now, they could finally see their true appearance. Soon, damn it. Shockingly, an elder of the Tianyi Palace couldn't help but swear. They're just a low-level celestial emperor with 2 level 10 perfected immortals. How dare you turn our Tianyi Palace upside down? The elder roared fiercely. We set up a heavy ambush, but the strongest of them is only a low-level celestial emperor. It seems that we've made a big fuss. The other 3 low-level celestial emperors were also angry. I thought they were some kind of middle-level celestial emperor with 3 heads and 6 arms. It turns out that they're just a low-level celestial emperor with 2 puny level 10 perfected immortals. Humph. We'll act according to the situation. We'll first rescue Feng Huanzi, then capture these 3 people. Torture, humiliate, and kill them. On the other hand, a group of people of the First Heaven sect, who had circled to White Phoenix City with the help of a flying celestial artifact, had already arrived at the edge of White Phoenix City. This group of people was composed of 5 low-level celestial emperors, 20 level 10 perfected immortals, and 40 level 9 perfected immortals. It was also a very large force. It could shock the entire celestial realm. Everyone, let's stop here for a while. The leader of the low-level celestial emperors waved his hand. A huge jade sail was suspended in the void. We've traveled day and night and finally arrived at White Phoenix City before the Battle of Windward Canyon. Ha! This is the first time I've come to this small place. It's not easy. But soon, this area will be completely wiped out. Not even a blade of grass will grow. Another low-level celestial emperor also smiled slightly. I'm afraid the Battle of Windward Canyon will start soon. Let's quickly destroy White Phoenix City, then turn around and go back to meet up. This time, we'll work together and win a great victory. We'll completely restore the reputation of the First Heaven sect. I've already released my celestial sense to scan the area. There's not even a low-level celestial emperor in White Phoenix City. Humph. It seems that all the experts have come to Windward Canyon. Good, prepare to slaughter the city. White Phoenix City. The headquarters of White Phoenix sect. They're here. Xiaofan released his soul Psywave. Ha, there are a lot of people coming. 5 low-level celestial emperors, 20 level 10 perfected immortals, and 40 level 9 perfected immortals. Master, let's kill them. The 98th, 97th, and 96th generations all shouted. Wait. Xiaohan's mouth twitched. I don't want to fight. If you have celestial artifacts, each of you can fight against 2 low-level celestial emperors at most. Now, the other side has 5 low-level celestial emperors and a large group of high-level perfected immortals. It'll be a waste of time if we fight. I want to end the battle quickly. Forget it, 95th generation. 94th generation. 93rd generation. Come out. Xiaofan made a prompt decision. With a move of his divine soul, he released 3 more level 7 creatures from the alternate dimension. Master. As soon as the 3 creatures from the alternate dimension came out, they followed Xiaohan's instructions and firmly suppressed their cultivation levels. Ha! 6 mid-level celestial emperors. It's only a matter of time before I win. Xiaofan smiled calmly. Alright, let's go out and greet our honored guests. To be continued. Chapter 723. In the Windward Canyon, some distance away from the headquarters of the Tianyi Palace, Ibdu. This place was an outpost of the Tianyi Palace. Now, there were hidden dangers in the Windward Canyon. A large number of soldiers were hiding in some spatial formations, including 2 low-level immortal emperors and a large number of level 10 and level 9 perfected immortals. They were hiding in the dark, like tigers and poisonous insects lying on the side of a hill, ready to attack at any time. Outside the canyon, 4 low-level immortal emperors stood in a line. Their eyes were cold, and their killing intent was restrained. Nebulae swirled around their bodies. Torrential celestial force spread out, causing a vacuum to form around their bodies. Right at this moment. In front of them, 4 figures appeared in the sight of the 4 low-level immortal emperors. Well, they're here. The 4 low-level immortal emperors didn't speak, but they exchanged glances. Then, they sent a voice transmission to the people hiding in the canyon. The enemies are here. Get ready and listen to our orders. After rescuing the wind bracelets, kill them immediately. One of the 3 enemies is a low-level immortal emperor, and the other 2 are level 10 perfected immortals. As long as we exchange the wind bracelets, we won't have to hold back anymore. It'll be very easy to kill these guys. At this moment, Bai Shi, the 99th, and the 87th, after perfect disguises, hijacked the wind bracelets and quickly approached the Windward Canyon. In fact, Bai Shi and the others had already perfectly controlled every blade of grass, every tree, and every soldier in the Windward Canyon. They knew exactly where the ambush was, where the weakness was, and where the blind spots of the canyon were. They simply knew it like the back of their hand. Outside, the whole immortal world couldn't help but turn their attention to them. In fact, the battle in the Windward Canyon, and the battle in White Phoenix City. Now, all the forces in the immortal world and the wandering immortals already knew about it. Countless immortals were distracted, watching closely with trembling hearts. Everyone knew that in these two battles, the Tianyi Palace, as the overlord of the immortal world, had already sent out low-level immortal emperors. That was enough attention. It could be said that these two battles were related to the future of the immortal world. Would the old forces still be strong? Or would a new force rise like a comet and replace them? Countless immortals in the world of immortals could sense that a battle of this level would be a struggle for power. He didn't have the ability to participate in it, so he could only spy a little. He might even get into trouble. However, none of the immortals were willing to give up the chance to spectate. In these two battles, the Tianyi Palace has a huge advantage. They had sent a total of 11 low-level immortal emperors. On the other hand, the White Phoenix sect's guest elders are powerless to resist. Even so, I still feel that we can't underestimate the guest elders of the White Phoenix sect. Previously, the First Heaven sect seemed to have a huge advantage. However, in front of the guest elders of the White Phoenix sect, they were unable to withstand a single blow. Maybe the Tianyi Palace didn't attract enough attention before. That's why they only sent level 10 true immortals. But this time, it's different. This time, all the low-level immortal emperors came out. However, on the other hand, if a few low-level celestial emperors of the First Heaven sect were killed, the foundation of the First Heaven sect would be greatly shaken. His position in the celestial world would fall apart. After all, the First Heaven sect has countless true immortals, but only a few low-level immortal emperors. The loss of one low-level immortal emperor is simply irreparable. You should know that even for a level 10 true immortal, it's very difficult to become an immortal emperor in one step. Alright, stop talking. The battle is about to begin. We'll know the result soon. Finally, the two sides were approaching each other. Master! Elders, help me! Feng Huanzi immediately screamed for help. His face was pale, and all his celestial power was gone. He looked like he was completely under someone's control. Fear, helplessness, fear, and all kinds of negative emotions were vividly displayed on his face. Shut up! Bai Shi turned around and glared at Feng Huanzi, his expression extremely cruel. Feng Huanzi seemed to be extremely afraid, and immediately stopped talking. Humph! Feng Huanzi's master, a low-level immortal emperor, changed his expression dramatically. His eyes were full of intense hatred and killing intent, and he sneered. Everyone, guest elders of the White Phoenix sect, please don't make things difficult for my disciple Feng Huanzi. Let's make a fair deal this time. Hey, it's best if it's done fairly. Bai Shi smiled awkwardly. I believe that you can tell that I've played a little trick on Feng Bangle. Now, with just a thought, I can make Feng Bangle's body explode into pieces and kill him. Feng Huanzi is a core disciple of the First Heaven sect, a level 10 true immortal. If he dies, I'm afraid the reputation of the First Heaven sect will not be very good. So, don't try to play any tricks in front of us. Master, Feng Huanzi's face was full of bitterness. He wanted to say something but stopped on second thought. Alright, Feng Huanzi, don't worry, we will definitely save you. The low-level immortal emperor of the First Heaven sect waved his hand and stared at Bai Shi. In that case, we will give you what you want, and you will immediately remove the restriction inside Feng Huanzi's body. I also warn you, don't play any tricks. Otherwise, even if Feng Huanzi dies, you will be buried with him. The next moment, two level 10 true immortals appeared at the entrance of the valley. One of them was holding a scroll in his hand, and the other was holding a storage ring. The elder of the First Heaven sect said, "We have already prepared the latest map of the immortal realm and the 5 billion celestial coins you want. Now, Please enter the Windward Valley to carry out the transaction. Bai Shi and the others were all startled. It seemed that the elders of the First Heaven sect wanted to lure them into the valley and then besiege them. This was like catching a turtle in a jar. However, for Bai Shi and the others, they were also very eager to enter the canyon. Only in this way could they kill all the elites of the Tianyi Palace in one fell swoop and create a bloody case in the immortal world. Huh? Isn't it better to carry out the transaction here? Why do you want to enter the valley? Could it be that you are inside the valley? What kind of ambush have you set up? Bai Shi asked deliberately. Humph. The elder of the First Heaven sect said. His face was gloomy. In fact, his heart was overflowing with killing intent. He wanted to attack immediately, but he was afraid of hurting Feng Huanzi's safety. Besides, he was also afraid that Feng Huanzi would run away. Therefore, he forcibly restrained himself. He sneered. You guys, you look down on the First Heaven sect too much, don't you? The Tianyi Palace is the #1 sect in the immortal realm. How can we go back on our words? There is absolutely no problem with today's transaction. Well, please enter the valley. Don't you have even a little courage? Oh. Bai Shi waved his hand and stopped Bai Shi, who pretended to continue talking. In his eyes, he deliberately showed a thoughtful expression. Please. Since you have the guts to fight against the First Heaven sect, you don't have the guts to enter the valley now? You guys. The First Heaven sect doesn't want to set up an ambush to deal with you. If you don't believe me, you can release your celestial awareness to explore the valley and see if there is an ambush, another low-level celestial emperor of the First Heaven sect said disdainfully. It should be noted that the people in the valley, including the 2 low-level celestial emperors, were all hidden in the space deployment, which was set up by Grand Master Tianyi himself. Therefore, even if a low-level celestial emperor released his celestial awareness, he would not be able to see through the space deployment in a short time. However, these low-level celestial emperors of the First Heaven sect never expected that Bai Shi and the other 2 were all middle-level celestial emperors. Well. Bai Shi pretended to release his celestial awareness to scan the inside of the Windy Valley. Seeing Bai Shi's action, the 4 low-level celestial emperors of the First Heaven sect all sneered. Okay, let's enter the valley to trade. Bai Shi finally nodded. Good. You have guts. Please. The 4 low-level celestial emperors of the First Heaven sect stepped aside to make way. Bai Shi and the others held Feng Bangle hostage and entered the Windy Valley. At the same time, on the side of the First Heaven sect, the 4 low-level celestial emperors had already sent messages to the people lying in ambush inside the valley. Listen. We will trade with them normally. When they unlock the restriction inside Feng Bangle's body, we will attack together. We will blast them into pieces. Remember, we 6 low-level celestial emperors and all the perfected immortals will attack together. Don't give them any chance. At the same time, Bai Shi was also sending messages to the 99th, 87th, and Feng Bangle. After entering the valley, we will trade. Feng Bangle, don't act rashly. The 99th, 87th, when the trade is completed, they will definitely attack. We will flash into the blind spot in the valley and make their first wave of attacks miss. Then, we will each deal with 2 low-level celestial emperors. Finish it quickly. Yes. Inside the Windy Valley. Inside the Windy Valley, in addition to the 4 low-level celestial emperors, there were only 2 level 10 perfected immortals and a few level 8 and level 9 perfected immortals. On the other side. White Phoenix City. The other team of the First Heaven Palace, led by 5 low-level celestial emperors, was about to attack White Phoenix City. Boom! Celestial chi soared into the sky. Xiaofan had already led the 98th, 97th, 96th, 95th, 94th, and 93th generations to face the enemy. The 2 sides confronted each other in the void at the edge of White Phoenix City. What? A group of level 5 perfected immortals and a level 2 perfected immortal? The 5 low-level celestial emperors of the first heaven palace glanced around and then burst into wild laughter. We can't defend White Phoenix City anymore. I can't believe a few pieces of trash came to stop us. Ha ha ha. As for Xiaofan, he looked at the 5 immortal emperors calmly. Alright, all of you, kneel down and kill yourselves. As celestial emperors, it would be a disgrace to kill you with our own hands. However, you can also watch the fall of White Phoenix sect with your own eyes. Then, you can end your own lives. A low-level celestial emperor said in a cat-and-mouse tone. Master, let's do it. The 6 level 7 creatures from the alternate dimension behind Xiaofan could no longer hold back their surging killing intent. Okay, let's do it. However, don't destroy the bodies of these 5 low-level celestial emperors. I have some use for them. At this time, Xiaofan was also burning with passion. His left arm of the demon monarch could be fed with the bodies of immortals and evolved. However, Xiaofan had never used the bodies of immortal emperors to nourish the demon monarch's palm. The quality of the bodies of immortal emperors was much higher than that of ordinary perfected immortals. Ha ha ha. The first heaven palace. Suddenly, Xiaofan looked up to the sky and roared, I wonder what kind of blow it will cause to the first heaven palace after the death of 5 low-level celestial emperors. Do it. As soon as he finished speaking, boom. 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 Behind Xiaofan, the energy of the 6 creatures from the alternate dimension kept rising. The temperature in all directions rose madly. A large area was shrouded in a kind of terrifying concept. Something's wrong. Do it. The 5 low-level celestial emperors of the first heaven palace roared in horror. However, the 6 creatures from the alternate dimension were one step ahead of them. They brandished their sabers and killed them. The subtlety and horror of the 100 Lives saber doctrine was displayed vividly and vividly. The 6 creatures from the alternate dimension had each mastered 100 Lives saber doctrine, which was extremely powerful. Moreover, when they attacked, they also released the energy of a middle-level celestial emperor. Puff. 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 The saber light cut through the sky like a meteor. In a split second, the heads of the 5 low-level celestial emperors of the first heaven palace flew up and left their bodies. Puff, the dark golden blood of the celestial emperors gushed out from their necks. They died. 5 low-level celestial emperors died at the same time. For a moment, dark clouds gathered between heaven and earth. It was pitch black, and a storm suddenly fell. Between heaven and earth, a sorrowful cry resounded. The celestial emperors died, and the world turned dark. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Even the heavens seemed to be weeping. Time seemed to have frozen. After dozens of breaths, they're dead. The 5 low-level celestial emperors of the first heaven palace were killed in an instant. That's a rare thing. The celestial emperors died. In the battle between the celestials and the demon clan, 5 celestial emperors were killed in an instant. This has never happened before. Apart from the battle to seal the demon god, this has never happened before. The world has changed. The celestial realm is going to change. In the vast celestial realm, countless celestials burst into tears and trembled in fear. To be continued.